Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on News Central. It's definitely another day to look into the biggest stories coming out of Nigeria. And you can tell that a lot has happened since the last time we were here. And that was possibly about 24 hours or thereabout when we talked about the biggest stories from Oyo State. And not forgetting to from the political landscape, particularly from the ADC. This morning as we speak, the Oyo rescue story is still making rounds. Don't forget, the governor of Oyo State has called for an investigation, especially looking into how the rescue mission was carried out. And that's just one story. On the other hand, there's another story that's making big headlines. It's got to do with the Minister of Works, about how a young lady actually died in his custody. Many have said that. How did that happen? But the counterclaims, different conversations around that story. We'll take a look at that. Plus, we'll also look at the man whom they call the fake DG, arrested eventually by the Nigerian police force. So many stories to look into, but don't take my words for it. All you need to do is just stay with us, stick around, because we'll be breaking all the stories down for you. My name is Joe Hanson, and I am happy to welcome you to Breakfast Central here on News Central. Guess who joins me again this morning? It's the one, the only, who decided not to think like a great mind because he decided not to wear green. You know what they do. Benga Borowa, good morning.
Well, Olive is on her own this morning. Let everybody carry their cross, and that's what's going on. As Joe rightly said, the man in the eye of the storm, Prince Adeyemi, has been apprehended by members of the Nigerian police. So many things happening in the last 24-hour news cycle since we were here. So many developing stories, so many stories to follow up on. And trust us here on Breakfast Central to bring you insightful analysis of the biggest stories making the rounds. As we speak today, Brent crude oil is $78 per barrel. So if you were hoping that the price of petrol would reduce, it's not going to reduce anytime soon. And Dangote has ended his Naira for crude deal. All products from the Dangote refinery will now be domiciled in dollars. So will that have implications for us as consumers? We'll be looking at all of this and more. The Iranians have said that they've thrashed the MOU they signed with the United States of America because, according to them, the Americans are not fulfilling their own side of the bargain. So it's back to World War. Yesterday they hit sites in Bahrain, the U.S. Navy's 6th Fleet in Bahrain, sites in Kuwait and other parts of the Middle East. So we're back to the same situation we were in the beginning of the war. What are the implications of this for the global economy and more? Well, it's a lot for you to interpret. But let's come back to Lagos, the city of aquatic splendor. Good morning, Lagosians and fellow amphibians. You're welcome. Breakfast Central.
Say fellow amphibians.
Yes, we've been walking on land and water.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we're amphibious. Man is not just a political animal, but the man in Lagos is a political animal and also an amphibian.
No, first of all, he's a Nigerian. Yeah. Then he's a Lagosian from the state in which he stays. And eventually, he's now an amphibian.
An amphibian, yeah.
It's quite sad. I mean, it's funny because we just have to find a funny side to it, but it's pathetic. If you see what's happened to people's cars, you will feel really bad for them.
Inconveniences.
Our lovely colleague.
People that don't even have cars.
Yeah.
Transporters.
Transporters, the prices.
Lagos is the only place in the world where the weather, if it's cloudy, it affects instant inflation. There's no economic policy that.
You know, I had asked a question. I wonder what the DPR is doing, the Department of Petroleum Resources. I mean, part of their purview is to ensure that the price control is still under their purview. They have to review, they take a look. Back in the day, they used to go around different fuel stations. I saw a video of someone who claimed that he was buying diesel and something just told him to tell the attendant to stop selling. And then he pulled the nozzle out. Lo and behold, nothing was coming out. But they had charged him 18,000 plus. I have that video, and hopefully I'll share with our producers so we can talk about it. And it was like, and he started making a video. This is the AP filling station. Look at what they've done. And everybody, the attendants were trying to stop him from recording. Like, hey, stop! Don't do that. We have a major problem, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. But let's move on to our wake-up conversations. Don't forget, we're streaming live. Just to mention, Olive will join us in the course of the program. I mean, she's taken the hit out of the flood, due to the flood, rather. Her car suffered a big knock, and she had to, you know, find her way around. So she's around. She's in the studio, but she'll be joining us in the course of the program. But for us, let me sit properly as we start this show. We're streaming live on YouTube. Benga, let's start off with the story that the All Progressives Congress governorship candidate in Oyo State, Senator Sharafadeen Alli, decided to also ensure that his name was mentioned in the rescue mission carried out by Nigeria Security Joint Operatives. Now, what did he do? Well, he gifted a brand new car.
Is it really a brand new car?
Okay,
a car. Yes.
A car.
Let's leave it at that.
To Mrs Rachael Folake Alamu, the principal of Community High School, Isiele, who was rescued after enduring a 56-day kidnapping ordeal alongside her students and colleagues. Presenting the car, Ali praised her exceptional bravery, composure, and unwavering commitment to the safety of her pupils throughout the traumatic experience, describing the gesture as a modest token of appreciation and solidarity with victims of insecurity. Meanwhile, let's talk about this car first before we go to the Senate. Benga.
Okay, we can confirm that it's not a brand new car.
No, it's not.
Car is not in production. They've stopped producing this.
Yeah, it's talks. It's talks. Yeah. But we don't know if it's Belgian or it's Nigerian used. Okay. But that's not even the case. I think the case is, there are more pictures where he I don't know if we have those footage, I mean, where he posed, he posed for picture, and then they told the principal to hold the key up.
Someone that has...
Look at that. Look at that. Let's just pause this. Look at that.
Through a traumatic ordeal.
When you are going through a traumatic pain, which obviously affects your physical stability, mental stability, psychological stability, is this what you need?
I mean, these things could wait. I don't know why it looks like cheap political point, and it's very tokenistic and is insensitive at this point in time. This woman has barely had any time to rest. I mean, the hospital has been a mecca and beehive of activities, the governor coming, she having to recount the harrowing experience every other day, and then you humiliate her with this. How much is a Camry? I
love the word you use. This is humiliation.
Please hold up the key. Let them see what we're doing. I mean,
no, Nigerians.
It's a tragedy.
Oh, Nigerians, Nigerian politicians.
The first time,
please.
Very insensitive and very, very ill-mannered behavior, to say the least. I'm being mindful of my words here because I'm really, really angry. This morning. How do you do this to someone that should be getting all this psychosocial support she could get? She needs time off. She needs to be talking to psychologists and caregivers at this point in time. And what we're getting is they've turned hospital to a sort of mecca and a beehive of activities. Politicians come in there to make tokenistic gestures and score cheap political points. It's such an insult. She can, I mean, is the car the list of our worries?
Benga.
And can't it wait?
Someone went through serious, she witnessed the killing of her colleagues. She witnessed it. The beheading.
In the most gruesome
manner. There was another woman who was expecting that her husband would come back with the principal. Unbeknownst to her, he was also killed. There are videos circulating where she was celebrating that, they've released them. She did not know that her husband will not return with the pupils and the teacher as well. And then she comes back. We understand the governor visited, people complained, but he had to do that. He's the governor. That's fine. News Central reporter was there yesterday trying to cover because yesterday was a handover of the students, the pupils to their parents, their families. Everybody sat down. It was an emotional moment. It was a bittersweet moment yesterday. And our reporter was there. We covered that live. Hopefully in the course of this conversation on Breakfast Central, we'll bring to you the footage as well. But all of that, Benga, was going on this woman has gone through a lot. There's also a video of her walking out of the hospital. That video also is up there where she was leaving the hospital. They said she's taken a lot of, that's it, that it's time for her to go. I understand that we have to video and document everything. That's fine. But at the same time, what do you think this woman needs now? If you ask me, I would say she needs to be jetted out of the country with her husband.
She needs to leave that look.
The governor,
all these politicians.
Exactly.
Stop.
Executive Governor of Oyo State, please, Governor Seyi Makinde, if you can hear us this morning, please arrange for this woman and her husband, not just how, all those who were in that particular situation, let them go somewhere. Don't even mention, but let them find a way to just leave the country for now, leave the eye of the public.
Maybe not even the country. They can go to Ikogosi Warm Springs.
Just stay there for like, they just need to stay there for like 3 weeks.
From the press and all the harassment from this...
Come on. What is going on? And then they go ahead and then they say, oh, you now give her a car and then you have to take a picture. You now tell the woman, somebody who is going through mental problem, challenges right now she is, you now tell her to hold up the car key like this to show that you've gifted her a car, all for a political score. Come on, man. Come on. Haba. I'm sorry, I was irritated when I saw it. I was like, what? Why? Who does this? If I were the governor, I would have placed an embargo. Nobody should be allowed to come into that hospital because, trust me, that's how it will be done abroad. After the governor sees her and the press people will wait until it's time for the handover, every other person, including any politician, you don't go in there.
To medical mode and she recovers. You respect the privacy of the family. It was very tacky, it was uncalled for, it was humiliating, that presentation, and very unnecessary at this point in time.
Anyway, let's also mention quickly that Oyo State, the Oyo State Governor, Governor Seyi Makinde, actually made a call for United Nations investigation into the abduction and rescue of school children and teachers in Orire local government area. I bet you know. But guess what? The Senate was not having it. Lawmakers described the governor's appeal as unnecessary and potentially undermining the efforts of Nigerian security agencies to successfully free the victims after about 56 days in captivity. Let's take a look at what happened in the Senate yesterday.
If we have spent time to denounce in the past, it is just appropriate that on this occasion that our armed forces have demonstrated uncommon courage and apparently evolved a different strategy to rescue these children is something that all of us should commend. That said, just two issues. The emergency minority leader, Ludi, spoke to about paying something appropriate to the men who pay the supreme price and others. I will add that if one man must be paid for loss of life, all those who have lost their lives in Borno, in Niger, everywhere else that the armed forces have been active, I do not think you can separate one from the other. So we have to have a general policy that deals with those of our countrymen and women in uniform who have paid the supreme price in the course of defending the country. But Mr. President, I read this morning in newspapers and I've seen it in the electronic. The governor of Oyo State calling on the United Nations to investigate the overall circumstances surrounding the kidnap and even the rescue. I thought that was the most unstatemanly. He was carrying partisan politics too far, and this nation should condemn his unguided statement. Nigeria is a sovereign nation. When we wake up and call on foreign authorities to investigate, this is one case in which our armed forces have shown that without paying ransom, even if it meant that these children and some of the elders had to be in captivity for almost 2 months, that the armed forces were working quietly to have these rescue operations, which as well captured
the circumstances surrounding this incident are sufficiently grave and unusual to warrant independent scrutiny beyond our domestic institutions. I therefore, with a full sense of responsibility as the Executive Governor of Oyo State, call on the appropriate international human rights and accountability mechanisms, including those within the United Nations system, to closely examine the facts surrounding this abduction and the circumstances of its resolution. Such scrutiny is not intended to undermine our institutions. Rather, it is intended to reinforce public confidence that the truth will be established and that every person found to bear responsibility, regardless of office, influence, or affiliation, will be held accountable. Under the
they do 1 minute silence. May the soul of the departed rest in peace. Amen.
So, ní orúkọ Olóyè Sunday Dare, àwọn mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gbọ̀n tá yọ̀ǹda kí wọ́n máa lọ lé lónìí. Wọ́n ti ṣe ètò náírà lọ́nà 50,000 naira fún ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan wọn. Tí àwọn ìyókù náà ń bọ̀, so àwọn ìyókù náà ìgbà wọn bá ń lọ, wọn ó gba iye kan náà. So ká dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn.
50,000 naira each. One person gets a car only, and then they are told to hold the car key and the papers up for the cameras. Not that they won any competition, or they did not participate in the Olympics. They just survived.
It's a tragedy.
Olive, welcome to the show.
I beg to differ. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And thank you to those who have expressed their thoughts. Again, this is the reality of what it is to live in Nigeria. Nigeria happens, your rain falls, the car is flooded, and after that, you know, your heart is palpitating. So let's hope that it's even another tragedy that area boys are already gathering there. Let's hope that by the time I'm done with this show, my car is still intact and that, you know, we can be able to make it to work tomorrow with the car. But that's aside. Regarding Mrs. Folake Alamu and regarding Sharafadeen Alli and, you know, the gifting of the car, my thoughts regarding the gifting of the car slightly differ from what my colleagues have said. I hear you. I hear when you say it is political optics. I hear when you say it's basically giving eye service.
It's humiliating.
However, I would imagine, or I would completely understand the gift of that car, and this is why I understand it. When she came out of captivity, one of the first things she asked of was her car. In fact, it became an issue that people were dragging her online and they were saying, why is she asking about her car? That was why some people started trying to speculate that this was, you know, staged. They said, how can somebody who has been in trauma, the first thing she's asking is about her car? And then the explanation given was that she asked because she left the car behind. She hoped that the police would have found the car and then the police would have towed the car back. Only for when she came, they showed her the picture of the car, you know, the photo of where it was burnt. I know the Nigerian Tribune reported it, that they had shown her where, excuse me, they showed her where it was burnt and that it was not, you know, it was not rescued. So she had already expressed that concern. Sharafadeen Alli stepping into the play to give her a car would be to meet that need. And I have no problems with that. Politicians stepping in to play superhero after a crisis is not an abnormality in Nigeria. It's something that happens. The problem is if the electorate now allows that to be the deciding factor, the fact that he gave her a car does not necessarily make him a good gubernatorial candidate. Neither does it make him a bad one. The premise by which you should decide if you're going to vote him should be based on the trajectory of what you've seen him do, the potential of what you think he can do, not because he gave a car. The responsibility is on the citizens to make a decision. Does she deserve that car? Absolutely. She unfortunately went through trauma, but she's not the only one. Again, I agree with you when you say that other people who have been through this trauma deserve some form of compensation as well. And I completely agree. Every teacher who has...
Olive, you are raising dust here.
Should
Olive, you are making me speak pidgin. Olive, they raise dust here.
So the information I had, that's why they said danger of a single story. Chimamanda.
Absolutely.
Adichie. Now that Olive has come with this perspective, I had no idea that there was a burnt car, that she lost her car before this happened. So with the new information,
does that now change?
So does that change
the narrative?
My perspective to yes, she deserves the car, and she was Senator Sharafadeen was meeting a need. So it's not like she was singled out as an exceptional victim, but because there was a backstory to it. Having said that, I mean, it's commendable to a certain extent, and the next thing is the method and the manner of the presentation. That's what I now have a problem with.
And I can agree with that.
Yes.
I can agree with us using, kicking against politicians, using vulnerable Nigerians for optics and using them for signposts and billboards. It really wasn't necessary. So first of all, thank you to the politician who gifted her the car. He will never be able to compensate for all the emotional damage and trauma that she and the rest of the people who are in the bush have been through. It would never match. But it's a starting point. As many willing Nigerians that are willing to donate, everything counts, really, because the truth is, didn't your First Lady tell you? Our First Lady told us now that celebrities should step in, that the responsibility is too much for the government to carry. That celebrities, Davido and Ashake and the rest of them, should step in. Politicians, please, this is a good time. This is where I like politicians to do eye service. They should do all the eye service, step in, take care of the people.
But they've given 50,000.
They should bring and give more, because these people need the help. They need the support.
That 50,000.
Maybe it was from Mr. Sunday Dare's private.
Of course, it was. He said.
But then, Nigerians should not be deceived or fooled by the theatrics of public display of empathy. That is not what...
We'd rather not even have them kidnapped in the first place.
Exactly. No, but you guys have never...
I'm just talking based off what our reality is. Our reality is, unfortunately, nobody can guarantee that another person is not going to be kidnapped. It has now become a trend.
We're also happy that the headmaster that was kidnapped also regained his freedom yesterday.
That's fantastic.
They requested for 30 million naira. The whereabouts and the process in which he regained his freedom. Videos also circulating where members of his community were jubilating. They were so happy to see.
He's so lucky.
That he came out. He didn't stay longer. But all of you, yes, you've brought the point of she asked for a car and so on. I am still adamant, and I'm still going to say this. When someone is going through either psychosocial, psychological, name it, I still deem it, see, let's not try to call us some things, please. Car was burnt. You know the funny thing? The governor of the state can afford to give her a brand new car. You think he doesn't know he can do that? We're not saying that what the governor, the aspirant came to do was bad. What we're saying is it should be condemned. That's what I am saying. And I'm going to say it again. It should be condemned. Why? Whatever we do, let's also remember that, first of all, we are humans. You cannot, because of politics, try to say, it's okay. It's an opportunity for you to say, okay, I've scored a political point. My own problem is, listen, you want to give a car. In other words, I also blame the arrangement. Our reporter was there. At some point, our reporter was told to leave. He was told to leave that place, leave there now. He was told he was denied access. I agree, and I like it. Guess what? I like it because I feel some things are very, very important and they should be in isolation.
I mean, even ordinary headache, you want to be,
have you had, I struggle with migraines. I know how it is. So don't disturb me. Let me stay in a quiet place. I saw my colleague beheaded. I saw another one killed. I saw how she said it, that they were beating the children whenever they cried. They tied the men's eyes and they handcuffed them. The rain, everything. And then this woman is not, let's not deceive ourselves. This woman is not well. Yes. It will take time.
But one thing I also want us to not do again is to totally and completely focus on her, forgetting that there were other people. She's not the only one. Unfortunately, she was made a spokesperson for the terrorists, or the mouthpiece of the terrorists, a job she did not sign up for. We must also remember the other teachers. We must remember the deceased murdered teachers and their families as well. And we must remember the children as well as their families. But let's take what Nigerians are saying. I'll start with YouTube and then we'll head to X. We're streaming live on YouTube. News Central TV Live is where we're streaming. Please go there, drop your comment. Annie Chinedu Brown, I've seen your shade. Shade duly noted. Thank you. Annie Chinedu Brown said I should be like you both. That small flood that cannot come to work, that you people live in VI. That wind has blown and they are...
Joe is driving armored personal carrier.
Thank God I've never tried to leave.
I used my bike here this morning.
Thank God I've never...
I fired my bike down there this morning.
Anyway, let's head to the comments.
Must you live in Lagos? Can't you live in Idore Hills on a mountainous region?
That's a
or
good
Ibadan. Ibadan is just here. Ibadan is not far from Ibadan.
Michael Zu says, I totally agree that Mrs. Alamu should take a vacation with her husband at Obudukatu Ranch or Dubai. Shame on Senator Sharafadeen for not even gifting her a brand new car instead of that old used car. Unatu game out. You people and Benga.
It's true now.
Michael Obeku says, I'm really surprised you guys are surprised by what the APC candidate did. Everything is politics as far as APC is concerned. They don't care about the people, but just to hold on to power. Again, I want to ask you, having gotten this extra context of the fact that she asked about her car and her car was burnt, do you still hold that perspective? Or do you think it's okay for them to give the car, but, you know,
Joe is still...
No, Joe is still holding...
Joe is still pinning where he pinned.
I'm asking our audience.
Not in the hospital.
And let us know what your thoughts are. Annie Chinedu... What is it? Did you see me in your dream? He said, Benga, just stop wasting your energy of the optics of the way politicians were trying to cash out from her ministry. Olive is making a case for herself. Her car was submerged. She needs a car too. Yes, I need a car. Thank you.
It's true.
Femi Olagunju says, good day. As far as I'm concerned, these people need to be compensated. Anyone that can support them should do it now. The family of those who lost their loved ones should not be forgotten as well. Exactly. Thank you for that. Arthur Rich says, Oshomole's voice was nowhere near this loud when Fayose accused Makinde of having knowledge of the abduction. He never said it was politics taken too far. Selective outrage masquerading as patriotism. Again, if you have nothing to hide, why are we making so much of a big deal about it? If the governor, who is the commander in charge of that
said he's undermining Nigerian security operatives and their efforts because the GOC has given a blow-by-blow perspective. If he had any questions to ask, he should direct it to the army authorities rather than leaving all Nigerian institutions and, you know, taking, you know, we like to keep, they say it's a family problem, let's deal with it, rather than involving external parties. That's their grouse with him.
Benga, are we partnering with international communities to come and help us fight insecurity?
Good question, yes.
Did we allow America to come in and bomb the country? Have we gotten any explanation why we allowed them to do so? They said it's because we're in tandem. If the governor says I want to be in tandem with an international community to look into it, why is it stopped? That's another angle. We can look at it from that angle too.
You're right.
If you need help from international community, come on.
All right, AI Fair Godfrey says, please do not tell people that they are doing eye service and expect them to come and assist the woman. Nigerians are intelligent and emotional people, but not stupid. Oyedokun Olaide says, when are we going to give Mr. Oyedokun's family something? And then Mokuye Chukwemeka says, yes, I do, Olive. They should give it behind the scenes. And I agree with you. I agree that they should give, but I'm not in support of the theatrics of it all. Michael Lolua says, even with the new information, nothing changes with my opinion. Let's head to X and see what Nigerians are saying about this on X, and then we can come to share a very important update on environment. Kolapo Nedu says, for what? First car, now cash. A time will come, in fact, it's almost here, when the secret will be in the open. Kolapo Nedu, please, which secret are we talking about? To come and tell us. This is a very unusual kidnapping. They know what they did and probably feeling very remorseful, Ayamsolu says. Sigh, double, triple sigh. That's what DJ Taiwo says. All right, final one. Ojulewa Studio says, it is well. All of you have something to say but kept quiet. All of you that have something to say but kept quiet, we see you. I think it's important very quickly that we share with you a video before we go into our headlines. It's a video of a man who was found, the Commissioner of Environment in Lagos State shared a video of a daddy who was found. As much as we bash the government and we hold the government to account, talking about government setting up structures, it's important that we call out bad behavior when we see it. This is somebody's dad.
I think it's a security operator, not security operator, but security guard.
Security guard.
A private
this man's name is Mr. John Ehidreme.
I'm sure he's not acting on his own. He must have been doing this alone. Maybe he's
a 56-year-old man. He was arrested illegally dumping refuse into a drainage channel at 18 Oluoga Ikorodu.
Empty the whole dumpster.
So this is what, when the government is complaining about citizens also being a huge part of the challenges we're facing with flooding. A number of us won't have to be complaining about flooding if the government had done its part, but if also citizens, I mean, look at this very, very, very irresponsible.
The question I want to ask,
I don't think it's an independent action on its own.
What do you mean?
Loma, I mean, they do rounds to evacuate dirt from neighborhoods. And people have been complaining that they've not come in a long time.
So that gives
house, they haven't come to clear the garbage there in a few weeks now. But my mom is not going to tell the security man to look for a nice gutter and empty it. So the owner of the house, what questions does he ask this man? How did you evacuate?
It's actually a school.
It's a school.
How did you get rid of the dirt? Yes.
Yes, it's a school, and it's very shameful.
They must have been doing it in the past.
If this happens in a school, what kind of culture are they passing down to the school? When we were younger, we were taught as part of our punishment.
Olive, you're still young.
We are even, well, I said younger.
Okay.
When we were younger, we all picked around our school. Now, didn't you do that?
Of course.
When they'll tell you,
didn't go to.
Everybody go out. Anyway.
But Benga went to military, so he was doing more than that.
I don't know what people did.
He was carrying golden necklace.
Let's get on with the program.
No, but it's true.
Okay. Yeah, I know now, of course.
Values and
it was even punishment
of cleaning. You know, it was punishment, but it was also a value that was instilled.
We'll return.
We'll come back to talk.
We'll have to come back to talk about this and see this, because again, Nigerians are Nigerians.
Why is our director?
This one has nothing to do with the government.
Why is our director and producer Russian? Is he related to this man, perhaps? Because I don't understand. This is an issue of national importance. And
it is, because you can't blame the commissioner. Or is this APC government? Is it PDP?
I tell you,
no,
this one is not a politician.
You.
This is a regular person.
You.
Later, I'll come and start making excuses for bad behavior. Let's share with you what our headlines this morning are on Breakfast Central. This morning, our top stories, we're looking at the federal government mining crackdown. NSCDC arrests 671 suspected miners. Alleged forgery and impersonation. Court orders arrest of controversial PFIPC boss Adeniyi. I'll be bringing you the update on that. Police has arrested him. And that's the video there. That's the video there. We'll be looking at federal government inaugurating Ministerial Advisory Committee to review economic policies. And the newspaper front pages as usual. Join us for all these and more. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. For decades, illegal mining has deprived Nigeria of billions in revenue, fueled insecurity, and weakened oversight of the country's vast mineral resources. Now, the federal government says a tougher enforcement strategy is beginning to turn the tide. But the bigger question is whether these gains can be sustained. The Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps says its mining marshals have arrested 671 suspected illegal miners since the unit was established in 2024, with 397 already charged before the Federal High Court and several convictions secured. Authorities say the crackdown has already disrupted illegal mining operations, improving regulatory compliance, and contributed to a significant rise in revenue from the solid minerals sector. Joining us for this conversation this morning is former Commissioner for Mines in Edo State, Enahoro Ojefo. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ojefo. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Right. So government has talked about 670 marshals being secured. We will say that we're making progress in the mining sector, being arrested rather. We say that we're making progress in our mining sector because that's often a sector that we don't pay as much attention to as we should. So would you say that that's progress being recorded? And
how regulated is the sector?
I would say from 1 to 10, I would say maybe just 1. Because mining is a practical business, you know, and regulations, enforcement, technology need to be applied. And I think we need to change the entire system. We need to change the entire policy around our mining sector. Why? Because this involves community, this involves rural area, this involves state government. You know, the same way we're able to decentralize the electricity sector, we need to go back to that same structure. I remember as a commissioner, I pushed that particular policy for state government to develop their SPVs so that we can do more control, more control, and state government can also generate more revenue from the mining sector. And as you know,
the land you ask gives state government right to own the land, but the mineral belongs to the federal government, all right? Now, because mining is more of the community engagement is one of the major problems in mining, community engagement and security, okay? Now, if state government are not part of this system fully, definitely the control and the security will be a problem. I set up, as the chairman of the Commissioner for Mining in Nigeria, we propose another policy to see how state government can now be fully involved with the federal government. Now, let me tell you something very, very good for us to know as Nigerians. We don't have accurate data for anything we are doing about the mining sector. That means the mining intelligence report we have is just false, 100% false. Because a lot of money will be put, state government put some money to see how they can get some data. Federal government are waiting for mining companies to send their data. Some of the NGSC, maybe when they go there, they do some earthly data assessment and put on a document for everybody to see. But when we talk about actual data about mining sector, you can spend 3 years trying to work only on one mineral, not just two. Do you understand? Now, the data we have are just normal theoretical data. And most of these data are not actually matching with the minerals we have here. Now, if I tell you every day, over 60 to 70 trucks of lithium, all right, move out of Nasarawa to the port. We're not talking about Kebbi, we're not talking about Kwara, we're not talking about Oyo, we're not talking about Kogi. I'm just talking about just one mineral, we're not talking about Abuja. Because the same vein...
And lithium is highly sought.
Yeah, the same vein coming out from this area, all right, covers this entire axis, all right? Now, let me tell you something. We are not ready to develop our mining sector. That's just the truth. We are not ready at all.
Why?
Because we don't want to put the right people there. We don't want to do proper work. Because you need data to run any analysis. Let me tell you something. At every phase of mining, there are different levels of quality. All right? I will use lithium as just a case study for everybody to know. Now, the lithium market in Nigeria is very, very porous and satanic. You know why? Because the Chinese are the major players. Now, when you supply lithium to them, Nigeria lithium, they will take about 5 samples on top of your truck, do the analysis and tell you this is the lithium, this is the quality of lithium we have in Nigeria, which is totally bad. When you say the quality of lithium is high, for example, it means that the overburden is lesser than the concentration of the mineral. For example, I'll do an example like this. This is lithium. Okay. This is overburden, maybe quartz, all right, maybe mica, maybe granite, attached to the mineral. When this bigger one, is higher than this one, that means the quality of that mineral is high. It's high. But when this is the overburden and this is the lithium attached to it, and you could do the separation techniques or do the sorting, that means the concentration of this will now lower than this one. So quality control is a problem. So you see that the Chinese will go on top of your truck, do just random sampling on top of some of the few bags, actually about 600 bags, then tell you that Nigeria lithium is 4%. We have Conside, we have Lepidola, we have spodumene, all right, in Nigeria, high quality. But how are we putting up these informations? How are we gathering this data to show the quality of lithium we actually have here? Do you understand? Yeah. So when we talk about illegal mining, how to control illegal mining, it starts from the knowledge
of what you
of the entire sector.
So
now let me come here. Now at the end of the day, you discover that the state government are not showing more zeal. They're not showing more energy to support. Then the community now became the major players engaging with these major investors. And because they don't understand the knowledge, they don't have good knowledge about what they're even mining from their community, they just want money to come. So fashion will come and say, give me money, I'm the youth president, the other one will come. A lot of things happen. Even the local miners, they also want to survive. In the process of trying to survive, then you want to go into illegal mining. Do you understand?
I do.
And we also have foreign operators who are buying this mineral illegally without not having data with the state government or federal government. There's no pathway for you to actually come into the sector.
When you were commissioner in Edo State, how did you regulate? Because when people talk about artisanal and small-scale mining, they often think they're illegal because they're not operating on the scale of the BHP bulletins and the global players. How do you absorb them into the system and regulate this artisanal mining? Because people often just think, okay, if you're mining at that level,
what I did was to, first of all, let me have information of all the active mining licenses in Edo State. There were 271 active mining licenses. Now, out of 468 registered mining licenses that are operating in Edo. So I have to invite, you can have the data of all these mining companies. They have their contract, everything. I have to invite all of them to a stakeholder meeting to say, okay, these are the active mining companies we have here. So these active mining companies, tell me, let me see your CBA program. Let me see your remuneration program. Let me see what you have done. Let me see what you are doing. I need to visit some of these sites. Now, what are the challenges you guys are facing? How do we come into this sector? I picked two minerals, which is the gold and the lithium, to work on, because other industrial minerals like dolomite and limestone and all that. So I said, okay, we need to set up a task force, because a lot of kidnapping were happening around that Akoko Edo as is. I said, we need to set up a task force. I set up a task force, the EFCC, the civil defense, the military, everybody. I said, now we have to have a security trust fund, where you don't need to pay for your security only. So we collectively pay for security, state government support, then we'll beef that area up for security to do that. So now we also want to reactivate and go and verify all those licenses. And also licenses, somebody will take 50 cadastral units, 100 cadastral units. Why? Because one cadastral unit is 4 football fields. That means somebody will take a license that covers 2 communities to 3 communities. What are you doing with it?
Who was issuing the license?
The federal government, of course.
Okay, I want us to now go back to the federal government.
Because it's under the exclusive list.
Yes, yeah. So the entire process needs to be, we need to sit down. We need to tell ourselves this, because we are losing so much. The figures we are seeing that the minister is saying we are making so much, that is just about 0.1% of what we are supposed to make from this mining sector. Just if a Chinese mine is offering you 5 billion for any site, for him to have access to any site, I can tell you for free, in less than 6 months, he will have that 5 billion out. I was in a place called Dengi, in part of Jos, the shell boundary with Nasarawa. Now, they have mold houses there. Those mold houses, we went there for exploration. Those mold houses, they have been living there for years. Now, we went there with new technology to check for tin ore. At that process of checking for tin ore, we discovered that there are mold houses, those shiny elements, those sparkling elements you are seeing, they are all lithium, they are all tin ore.
Wow.
So it was after that exploration, I sat the community and said, this is what you guys have been losing. These your mold houses is sitting on top of a vein, high deposit of tin ore. Now they start destroying those mold houses, washing it, now getting tin ore. So that means you are living in a mold house worth about 20 to 30 million, but you are still poor. Is
that why we have increase in insecurity, banditry, terrorism? Of course.
Is there a link?
Of course, yes. Some of these informations are more of local. You know why? Because the local miners, the artisan miners have more information, all right, about site. They go to forest, they go to some of these areas, they see some of these samples, they will come and dig on their own, they start mining. Because there's no control, no regulation. And you can't control this kind of huge sector from the federal. It's not possible. So I advise the minister then to say, okay, can we find a way to bring the state government in? Let state government be part of this process.
Concurrently, so.
Do you understand? So let's make it kind of collaboration. The state government should be more active in this sector. And for you to do that, apart from setting up the SPVs, most of them have set up SPVs, but they cannot operationalize it, because they don't even know how to operationalize those SPVs. Do you understand? Let me use a state as Kaduna State as a very, very good example for Nigerians. Kaduna State can take care of Nigeria as is. The mineral in Kaduna State can feed Nigeria for 10 years without borrowing. The deposit of gold in Kaduna State alone, we are not talking about, Kaduna State is one of the most blessed states in Nigeria, followed by Niger State, followed by Taraba, followed by Nasarawa. We are not talking about industrial like Kogi. No, we are not talking about essential minerals. Do you understand? If you go to some place, I was in Banki Kogi in Kafachan, where we're doing exploration on lithium. We saw high concentration of beryllium, high concentration of aquamarine. I'm not talking about just little quantity. Do you understand? We are talking about tin ore that you can see visibly. Not going for about 5 feet. No, just visibly. Do you understand? Now, the Kaduna State government are still looking for money to develop Kaduna State. And federal government are only having earthly reports on the deposit in that area. Nicole is there. Even the California we are talking about is there. Indianum is there. Rotarium is there. In that same Kaduna. And yet nothing. If you go to Beningwari, there's a place in Beningwari when we went to those days, you will see gold at the surface, permanent gold. We're not talking about Alovia, we're talking about permanent gold. At the surface of a rock. Do you understand? And Kaduna State are looking for money. And Kaduna State have over 61 licenses under the SPV, but no operationalization.
So is it that it's capital intensive, and while they know...
Look at it, the Chinese are making the best. The Chinese, their strategy is very simple. Remember, before the European colonization, everything happened. Europe have a standard for Africa. They build a very high standard for us. They will tell us, even the Americans, tell us, okay, you know what, for us to buy your mineral, for us to buy your agro-commodity product, you must cling to this percentage, you must have 99% and all that. The Chinese formula is totally different. Chinese formula will come to our level. They know we don't have information. We don't know what we are doing. Or even they came to our level to buy that raw from us. They will now modify it and amplify it and process it to a higher standard to fit the American market, to fit the European market. While the European market are still waiting for Africa to come to their standard. But Chinese are, even in our own level, they came to our standard at every sector in Nigeria, even in Africa.
And honestly, it's really sad to hear this. It's just, reminiscent of a country that has so much potential that, hasn't scratched the surface of its potential. You've mentioned how the federal government can't do this alone, that they need to bring the state governments into the conversation. What other measures need to be put in place, for us to see these gains actually being materialized?
Technology. The mineral sector is so advanced to the point that you don't use the manual data sheet analysis or geometric method or aeromagnetic survey to trace any vein. I remember in Akuma Patapa in Ebonyi State, I was there for lead ore. Now, at a very top hill of that overburden that the local miners, the indigenous miners have done a lot of work. They spent so much money, borrow money from different financial institutions, but they couldn't find the trace of this vein. When we went there, I said, you don't even need to dig this far because you must understand the vein, how this thing goes. That is the vein you are going to pass. It's a pathway. So we went there with high intense technology. Then from St. Petersburg University in Russia, some team came. We went there, Rosatom team. We went there and they did a lot of work. In less than 4 days, we were able to show them the vein. You know what? The concentration of that lead ore in Abakaliki, which is in Ebonyi State, is over 80%, 75 to 80%. I can show you pictures. Wow. Do you understand? So if we want to actually go into developing this sector, we must sit down on the table and begin to discuss how first of all, data is important. Technology is important. Do you understand? Enforcement will come when state collaboration is part of it. Local government have to be part of it. Community have to be carried along. Then training and retraining have to be there. Do you know, if I have to design a master plan, which I'm already working on for these regional development commissions, one of the major things I will advise them to do is to open up the mining sector. Yes, we're supposed to have, by now, Kaduna, the Northwest, supposed to have their own metallic and gemstone hub. They will come together, build the processing factories. From all the analysis I have done, over $325 billion they will generate from lithium and other essential mineral and gold alone, just Northwest. North Central, they have the best of lithium. We can set up a full lithium processing chain, both from ingots direct to batteries and everything. So let's Regional Development Commission begin to push this idea to state government. Let state government now form a cluster on how to develop this. Let me tell you something. If I have my way to say, choose another part of Nigeria you want to maybe take as your own state, I would rather go to the north.
So much
because in the south, we are talking about crude oil, right?
Crude oil.
Let me tell you something. Anything that you sell for in kg or in liter, you can't compare it to something you sell in grams. Do you understand? The minerals is in drams, a lot of them. So our liter, let me tell you, if 1 liter of crude combined, naphtha, PMS, AGO, kerosene, everything put together, it's not up to it's not up to 1 kg of one mineral in the north. Not one. Do you understand? But what I've stayed in the north for a long time. I've stayed both in the south. I've lived in 32 states of this country, generally.
Wow.
I can tell you for free. The population in the north, they use it for politics only, which is wrong.
So that brings me to my question. The NSCDC has set up, in conjunction with the Ministry of Mining Development, what they've called Mining Marshals, to help stop illegal mining and insecurity that is associated with mining. What is it about mining that attracts insecurity, and what's the current state of play?
One, it won't work. I have told them several times, we went for stakeholder, it won't work, because let me tell you, the population of the civil defense that we actually have in this country. Now you're setting a mining marshal, it's going to be reactive measures, reactive. That means you hear information that they are mining here, they will rush there, do some arrest. Do you understand? They stay on the highway, stop trucks that are coming in, say, where's your license? And those are just reactive measures. It won't work. Because there are some places where mining is going on in Nasarawa, for example, that you can't even access that place. I was trying to see one of the sites then in Nasarawa Toto. Then we went straight for about 2 hours. You get to a point, even with your security, you'll be so scared to move further. There's some mining going on in the forest. In some part of this country where choppers go there to pick gold every 2 days. Because I can confidently pay for any chopper to come and pick my mineral. If I'm making 4 kg of gold from my mining site every week, I'm a billionaire already. I can pay for anything. Now, as of today, it's going for about 150 to 160,000 per gram, which is about 150 million per kg. So if there are some sites in this country today, I can tell you for Nasarawa, they are making over 4 kg, 5 kg in a day. So multiply 150 or 155 million times 4. You are getting it in a week.
Are the people, I want to ask this question, I mean, pardon my trying to be naive or something. Are the people in the northern states aware of this? One. Are the governors in the north aware? I'm like I said, I just want to ask like I'm naive. Are the governors aware? Is the federal government aware of this? Because we've seen videos. I mean, former governor, I think Matawale, who saw gold bars on the table. We saw the current minister present to the president about 2 gold bars, saying that they've signed a contract. We've heard how rich the north is. In short, some have said the north is even richer than the south. In terms
not
of
somebody is telling you, I'm telling you now.
No, and you are here confirming that
the north is richer than the south.
This is an eye-opener, by the way. It's an eye-opener and it's deep. Are they not aware?
Okay, let me tell you something.
You know what, just hold on. We'll go on a quick break.
Okay.
We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll look into those questions. I mean, these are mineral resources that a lot of... that should actually ensure that Nigeria is actually for the better. But stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us here. It's an eye-opener this morning. If you have not actually taken time to learn about Nigeria's mining sector, how blessed we are with rich, natural, essential mineral resources that we can use to the benefit of every single Nigerian. And my question before the break to our guest who's here, an expert when it comes to that, is the federal government aware of this? State governors in the north and the people of the north, who some of them are out of school, are they aware? Is there some sensitization going on to let them know that, listen, you people are so rich, you're so rich that you ought not to be out of school and so on? Is there an awareness?
There is, but it's kind of somehow closed, all right? Not a public understanding of what we actually have. That's why Seminar Intelligence Report is very, very important, okay? Now, let's use some major states as a very good case study. If today, the Kaduna state government, Zamfara state government, all right, Katsina, the major northwest, Now they can come together to say, you know what, we need to generate our revenue from mining sector. It's very simple. Put forward a plan to the federal government, secure most of those viable areas, which some of them have done, then sit down and do a proper exploration. All right? To know, first of all, you need to know the deposit, the quality, the percentage they are, and the deposit. Imagine we are still speaking out of books. Do you understand? We are not even saying the right things. If sometimes I saw a broadcast some days ago that Nigeria have discovered a high deposit of lithium in social place in Kaduna, 3 million. Those are just fallacy. Those are just nonsense. For me, those are Adamic for me. Do you understand? Those are Adamic for me. I don't want to hear that kind of nonsense anymore. Do you understand? We should tell ourselves the truth. That we are blessed. We have them. All we need is just organization and planning. Put a proper structure to it. With the population of the youth in the north, I can tell you for free, over 300,000 youth will be employed, just one mineral alone. So why are we mining gold from Nigeria? Have you gone to the border between Zamfara and Niger and those Aziz, Katsina and Niger? Very easy to move out. Very easy to move out. There are a lot of multinationals that are mining gold in Nigeria, mining heavy minerals in Nigeria, that even the Nigerian government are not even aware of. There are former governors, there are big top politicians who have been doing gold mining. The top rich guys from the north have been mining for over more than decades now. You don't even know about it. Do you understand? We can't even quantify. Now, another thing that will even give you more revelation is that we don't actually have data of what we are exporting out of this country.
And I wanted us to talk about...
We don't have data
exactly,
about it.
That's the question I wanted to ask.
Do you understand? If you ask the custom, they will give you... It's what they declared. The Chinese will just declare anything on that truck.
So the question is, what sort of data do we require, and which body is responsible for gathering that data? Now,
that is why we need to put a proper structure, all right, from mining sites down to where you are exporting. Do you understand? I have a very big problem as at 2023 or 2024, thereabout. Zycon Sand was being moved out of this country, and it was not enlisted into our minerals that was exported out of Nigeria. Do you understand? And I began to ask them, I said, why? Why are we not seeing Zycon Sand here? Why are we not seeing mica here? We are seeing reports of gold, lithium, just normal major mineral. What about these other essential minerals that are going out? How many trucks of lead ore and zinc ore, barite, that are coming out from Abakaliki and Cross River Aziz? Those areas are blessed. Do you understand? How do we trace them? How do we put them into value, into numbers, to say this is what we are actually moving out? Let me tell you something. Solid mineral is the only business in Nigeria that you don't have time and season. Like commodity, agro-commodity, sesame is just between from September, Taraba will start from September, by February, March, the thing is going down. Then Yobe sesame starts by October, then by February the thing stops, right? Now Bauchi starts by early October or ending of October, depends on the time they plant. But you can actually say, okay, these are the timetable for shipment of this agro-commodity minerals because they are season bound. So, but for minerals, every season they are moving out.
All year round.
All year round. Let me tell you something. There was a case that happened in Nasarawa. These Chinese guys were moving out high deposit of ruthenium. And they were pushing out other essential minerals. We couldn't even stop them or to even ask them questions. What they are doing.
We don't even have the technology.
They chase away all the Nigerians, all the staff they have, Nigerian staff, they chase them away. They brought some prisoners from China who were about to finish their own prison term. So they came and the entire place was covered. Do you understand? Now, when they were moving this mineral out, they have to use our security to push it out, and they use chopper to move it out. Do you understand? At that time, the first time was when Amakura, the former governor of Nasarawa State, when he signed deal with some Chinese, and they shook hands and they said, okay, they are investing 10 billion into the mining sector. And I was against it, because those same Chinese group, after about 2-3 months, they locked down the entire area. You can't access it again. And they were mining that 5 billion, all right, in less than a few months. Why are we prompt to say Australian people are coming to invest 20 billion. They're trying, on what data? On what are they investing it on? Now, we are talking about renewable energy. We have today, all right, the best structure to be a leading renewable energy country in terms of...
because of everything we have.
Yes, of
lithium
course. So now the question is, why are we exporting lithium, lepidolite, conzite, spodumene out of Nigeria without no proper data? Take it to China. Chinese will now modify it, use it to do lithium battery, and bring it back to us. That is madness.
But that's kind of what happens with a lot of sectors. Even with our leather, it happens with our leather.
Even our oil until Dangote.
It's really sad.
So we just need to find a way to stop it.
Absolutely, we do need to find a way to stop it.
So federal government need to actually understand that they can actually generate more money, create more jobs. These jobs we are talking about is there in the mining sector. It's the only sector in Nigeria that can guarantee over close to 1 million jobs in less than 2 years.
We have to continue this conversation. We have to bring you again, because it's a shame that what we're seeing is the weaponization of poverty. And
so you can't stop the illegal mining. That's not the truth. There's no way you can control it, because all the method they're applying is reactive method.
We'll come back to have this conversation with you again. But thank you so much. This has been an eye-opening and enlightening conversation, but also a very sad one, because it tells us what our reality is and how we really have a way out. But then again, the question is, what is the government going to do about this information? We'll continue to hold them to account, but we'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, our next guest is on standby for the next conversation. Please stay with us. And now it's time to bring you update regarding maybe the biggest story, one of the biggest stories in the country right now. Police in Osun State have confirmed the arrest of Prince Adeniyi, the embattled alleged Director General of the controversial and maybe non-existent presidential agency PFIPC. Now, this follows a bench warrant issued by the Federal High Court in Nigeria.
Adeyemi, accused of forgery and impersonation, was picked up by the intelligence response team in Osun. He had previously denied hiding from authorities, claiming threats to his life. Today, we break down the legal, political, and ethical angles of a scandal.
What's your name?
I've mentioned it, sir.
Mention it for us, please. They asked you. What is your name?
I've answered you.
What is your name?
I've said.
Has written an open letter to the press saying that he fears for his life. Someone has to be alive before justice is heard in this case. And if he's not alive, so I cannot reach my client. I've not seen him for over a month. It's sad, but that is the reality of the situation. So a bench warrant has been issued against him. The matter has been adjourned to 30th September. We can only wait and see how the whole matter unfolds. Yes. My client has said it over and over and over again that he is available and willing to come out, but he needs to be sure that he's safe and he will not be in harm's way. He has said that over and over again, so I wouldn't know. That's what is on the media spaces that I have seen. The same way you are saying for media space is the same way I'm also seeing his feedback that he fears for his life. I have not had access to him.
Joining us for this conversation are two legal practitioners, Anthony Hilebo and Towo Oserujowa, who joins us, Oseruwaja, I beg your pardon, who joins us all the way from the United Kingdom. This conversation is one I know that we're going to have a swell time discussing. But first of all, welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And good morning to Nigeria.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me too.
Very good. Very good. All right. So it started off like it's fake, it's not real until we started seeing receipts. And these receipts are in videos, in footage, even in press conference held by the embattled DG. Not just that, the biggest one of them all, a budget that belongs to a sovereign state eventually carried this same fictitious agency and its budget for the year. So realistically, if we may ask, how possible is it for a fictitious agency to operate openly, secure an office space at the Federal Secretariat, and even appear in the federal budget of a country like Nigeria? I'm going to start with you first, Etor, as we look into this scenario.
Good morning. I think you corrected the impression, you corrected the statement I would have that has been in the public space using the word fake. I think the best word we would have used is controversial.
Yeah.
And why we look at it, I listened to a serving senator. I think on your program yesterday, and when I listened to him when he was talking about the power of the president to create an agency by executive order, that gives me a broader perspective of what we are having now in Nigeria, talking about the controversial council. And if a serving senator can disregard Section 4, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and can also disregard Section 44, Section 80 to 84 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that gives the National Assembly the power to establish a council, of this nature that assess public funds. It can be initiated by the president through a bill. So you should understand where we are in. Then looking at it holistically, you discover that the first question I asked myself when I saw this development yesterday, and when this issue came out, is what are the EFCC doing? When the issue first came to the attention of the Chief of Staff and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, why approach the police? Why not approach the EFCC? The ICPC is also empowered by the virtue of the charge as seen, or the virtue of the offense they are charging him for. Do you understand? Why not approach the ICPC? Why not approach the EFCC that have the requisite skills to investigate this matter entirely? Yes, the guy has committed an offense because he has openly stated that he offered a bribe of 400 million naira. Bribery is an offense in Nigeria. Nigeria should look at it from that perspective, that he ought to face the law. Now, the broader perspective to this issue is, how did this thing go through the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation? How does this man operate all through this while? The 300 staff they are talking about, including his personal assistant, a senior personal assistant, how were their salary being paid? Who authorized their salary? Who employed them? Who issued the letter of employment? Do you understand? Other members of the body, how did they come to be? So these are issues that need to be looked at. Then the issue of the budget again is the icing of the cake. How did he get to the budget? Do you understand? And who compiled the budget? Under which ministry? Because if it's an agency or a council, it may be a sub-arm of a particular ministry. Who was he reporting to directly? Is it the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? And who presented the budget? Who is the oversight? Who are the members of the House of Reps and the Senate that undergo oversight function of that thing? Then these are questions that need to be asked. So police rushing up and down, effecting arrest, already framing charge, and all those stuff. For me, I don't want to dive into the content of the charge for the purpose of allowing lawyers who are engaged to look at it holistically. But one thing I also want to point out is that they should look at Section 251 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, pari passu, the law upon which he was being charged before the Federal High Court, to see if jurisdiction lies in the Federal High Court. So it's a very complex issue, and the way we look at it holistically will determine the outcome and what the integrity we can hold our public office holder accountable about.
All right, thank you very much, Toll, for that explanation. Very dicey situation. They're bound to bring in Anthony into the conversation and get your thoughts regarding this as well. Especially, I mean, we've seen an arrest. It was a bit, if you can help us clarify the necessity of this arrest or otherwise, especially because we heard he was scheduled to be in court on the 27th day of July. So why was this really necessary? What was the process leading up onto this arrest? So speak to us about the legality or otherwise of that.
Well, I think, first of all, the speed at which he was arrested. I don't know if the police had processed the arrest warrant, because when you have an arrest, you have to go to the court and get the warrant itself to be able to act on it. It's not just merely on the pronouncement. My learned colleague has dwelt on the several legal issues around this matter, but I'd like to take a different approach to it. Very recently, we've heard of several misnomers within our budgeting and constitutional frameworks. You see, for instance, the Almanjeri Commission doing projects in Ogun or your road projects in Ogun or your state. You hear of colleges of education tarring roads in different. So this particular scenario seems to present a recurring decimal in our country's operational model. You know, this particular ministry was said to have been created not even within the context of this administration, during the Buhari administration. So it tells you that there's a cartel or an organization that is much bigger than we can see right now, operating. And I want to believe that this is not just the only illegal operation going on. So there's a broader context that I think that the presidency should have taken a step back and said, you know what, let's look at our budgets, right? And even when you want to look at the budget, the 2024, 2025, 2026 budget, as we currently have, are running concurrently. So there's a mess within even the budget context, right? So that's one problem on its own. But the government itself has been riddled with several scandals arising from its spending, its operation of the law, and several other things. So it needs to, at this point, take a step back, look at the holistic nature of its financial expression. The Office of the Accountant General, the Office of the SGF, and the presidency itself, because this particular ministry, my brother was trying to say, trying to situate it. This particular ministry is situated under the presidency. And the presidency has an entire ministry run by a permanent secretary. Now, that's, I think, is a place to start, to try to weed out or even investigate and see where this rot or how far it goes. Because it doesn't just stop at just one. I mean, this came out because perhaps there was an issue with the sharing formula, that he came out and said, look, they've been asking me for more money and I couldn't give more money. They disagreed with the sharing formula, and that's why it came to the public knowledge. I had someone talking to me and saying, you know what? With what I'm seeing now, I should have been back in Abuja. I'm sure I would have gotten one of these. I'll cooperate now, I'll give them what they want. What is 400 million? If I have 1.5 billion, I'll still have about 1.1 billion to do what I want to do. If my salaries will be more than. So it's encouraging more fraud in the system. It's saying that there are leakages. And, you know, the international disgrace, the level of, I've seen this in several media fronts, that a whole ministry, a whole parastatal was created fraudulently and monies appropriated to it. I mean, we're not even in the appropriation. Our Appropriation Act has been badly abused. 2024, 2025, 2026 are running concurrently. How is that? Is that not even an aberration in itself?
That's an issue in itself. I'd like to go back to Tor. Thank you very much, Anthony, for your submission. Tor, Anthony raised lots of issues bordering on our reputation as a country, the integrity, and of course, the entire presidency, and also the question that is there still many things that are inside that budget that we are not aware of, and if the culture of this level of impunity, and also, the collaboration that might be going on at the highest level, this could be a bigger racket. Now that the attention of Mr. President has been drawn to this scandal and is given the marching order to ICPC, yes, to investigate this and unravel everything within 30 days, what are your expectations? Because people are saying that you can't be a judge and jury in your own case, and that the man in the eye of the storm, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, has not stepped aside from his appointment, and it might be a hindrance to do a thorough investigation if he's still in that position. What's your take?
My take is that the outcome of that investigation has been made clear yesterday. That is just the simple fact of it. Because while police are prosecuting the man for an issue that have been assigned to another agency to investigate, you should understand what it means. A bench warrant has been issued, and I expected that when the president made such an order, what is right for a fair process. A fair process was that immediately the president made such an order, which is within the right of the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Police ought to have handed over every of those files or anything regarding this particular issue to the ICPC. But that is not the case. Then you should also be aware that for Femi Gbajabiamila, you know, there've been a lot of issues regarding the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. I think that office became more popular or more prone to issues from the time of Buhari. And now Tinubu use it to the climax now. And we pray that the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will not appoint somebody that will take it to the moon then. Because I think one of the former deputy governor of Edo State, who became the chief of staff to Jonathan, we never heard such a scandal. So outside the office of Gbajabiamila, and I've stated it clearly without recourse or remorse, and I'm not going to withdraw it, that office has no statutory power to interfere with the external affair of the country. And I will state it is just like a person. The office of the secretary the office of the chief of staff is just like a personal secretary to the president that deals with his routine, but not to interfere with the running of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But be that as it may, aside him, what about the office of the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation? That office needs to be probed. Then what about the Senate? The office needs to be probed. Even the Deputy Speaker, those principal officers of institutions the man had contact with, they ought to have stepped down. So if we're only Gbajabiamila, we're also being fair. We are also being unfair to one part. His name was mentioned, yes. But to what extent? Look at the EFCC for crying out loud. One of the highlights intelligence gathering, investigating agency. I had contact with the chairman. So what are we saying? The man had contact with the deputy Senate president. The man had contact with the deputy speaker of the House of Reps. So all these are areas that need to be looked at holistically. So for Gbajabiamila, yes, as a matter of fact, I was expecting that he would have resigned, or the president would have asked him to step aside, sacked him for outrightly, because when it comes to issue of appointment, it's not within the purview of his office. Therefore, the office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, I believe, if it is in the UK, which my colleague will confirm, if it is in the UK, so many people would have resigned. So many people would have resigned. What made Kistama, which is the outgoing Prime Minister of UK, to resign is not up to this scandal we are having now in Nigeria. It's not up to the scandal we are having, but everything goes. So if you're asking for the outcome, you ask yourself that a matter that is being investigated by ICPC, and one of the party or one of the person that ought to be investigated is already prosecuted. As a matter of fact, a bench warrant was issued from omnipotent and omniscience Nigeria police. He was arrested, maltreated because he was downgraded. His dignity was. Why will you ask somebody is a suspect to sit on the floor? You could see how demoralized the man was. Do you understand? So after going all through this, then they will not give him ICPC. So what will ICPC investigate over the issue again? Remember, the matter has been adjourned to 30th of September. So by virtue of that, which as a legal practitioner that is conversant with the Nigerian system, obviously will be in custody within those periods. And you know how traumatized that could be. Look at what is in the public domain. If somebody can be asked to sit on a bare floor, asking questions in a downgrading manner. So imagine within those periods if he will not be demoralized. But for me, I believe that the process itself, the foundation is already faulty. So it will be among the whitewash.
All right, I just want to follow up so very quickly. Adeyemi was supposed to be in court yesterday in Abuja, and he was away from court. Does it count as a reason to be away from court that there were threats to his life? Is that an excuse for him to miss his court appearance? Legally, can that excuse stand?
When it comes to issue of threat of life, do you understand? And if you look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, do you understand? It's left for everybody to what? Protect himself from every harm. And we all agree. We all agree on this. I think I'm not saying we all agree. Within information in the public domain, you know, one of the individual he identified as the proxy to the Secretary to the Government, as the proxy to the Chief of Staff. Do you understand? As the proxy to the Chief of Staff was mysteriously, from what we heard, was mysteriously died. So that alone can trigger anybody within that circle of scandal to be conscious of every public domain that would have happened. Then two, for the court to have issued a bench warrant, yes, the court is right. But looking at the circumstances, you know the court is blind to the society. What did the lawyer canvass before the court to say, okay, for that bench warrant to be issued? The court can exercise discretion to say, okay, for this reason, I'm giving you one more chance to appear. So for all intent and purpose, when issue of threat to life is already in, as alleged by him, I believe the court would have exercised a discretion better. And I will tell you, as a matter of fact, with that video alone you've seen, where he's being questioned by police, asking him to sit on the floor, is a downgrading treatment himself. That can cause a mental, and at the same time, if we don't know his medical condition, with the extent in which this issue is going and the perception of Nigeria as to the process not being followed, it can trigger any medical condition that would have affected his life. It's only a living person that can stand trial. So it is excusable if somebody believes that his life is in danger. And this is not the first time he's saying it. He has said it even before the court case. Okay,
let me go back to Anthony here. I mean, there's so many questions to ask regarding this. First of all, from the legal perspective, is it right I think it's a strong PR push. Is it right for the embattled DG and also his agency to be tagged fake from a legal perspective? Because there's no proof in court and the investigation is still ongoing. That's one question. Secondly, is it also right for Femi Gbajabiamila to sue? He was looking at suing for 10 billion naira. Is that right? Yeah. I mean, shouldn't he have waited, or shouldn't he wait until the process is done? What we see here is like there's a sudden rush here and there to quickly just nail and end this story. That's what we perceive. But what's your take on that, Anthony?
Well, for me, first of all, there's a bigger issue and bigger question. Where you have a president who violates the Constitution, and I'll go back to the only major contract this president has awarded to high tech, which we find out that his son has a stake in it. The contract did not pass through tenders. We're looking at the environmental impact assessment of it. The sheer volume of that contract leads one to ask questions. And then looking at following the Appropriation Act, which says year on year, the country shall appropriate, or the government shall send appropriation to the National Assembly. It shall review, and it shall pass an Appropriation Act which shall be followed and retired before another Appropriation Act. But we have 3 Appropriation Acts running concurrently. So if we want to start to talk about illegality, we have to start from the top, which has set the ball for these sort of things to happen. Now, I have not seen a concise and genuine effort by the government to say we are going to fight corruption as a government, because the government itself leads the way with corrupt practices. Why, for instance, is the FCT taking off the TSA? Why? The TSA was introduced in 2015 to harmonize government spending in line with the Constitution, which says the government shall appropriate funds and spend from a single account. The FCT is not separate from government. So all sorts of corruption are being allowed by this government.
But the president said why they removed the FCT from the TSA was to speed up engagements and processes. Listen,
the processes are put there for a reason. And let me even say something. The president himself has precluded whatever investigation is going on, because the president says, and he with his own mouth, his own words, said, I trust the chief of staff. The buck stops at my table. How can a president make that kind of statement when your country is being riddled with all sorts of corruption? Let's not even talk about Keir Starmer. Keir Starmer was leader. Let's talk about the leader of the Reform Party. For his own personal engagements, people who were employing him to speak and paying him.
Nigel Farage.
A scandal emerged, and he has had to resign as an MP. That is how government works. But in Nigeria, people will not resign. A lot of people right now should be packing their bags. How is the chief of staff still in office? How can you investigate when that man is chief of staff? And like my learned colleague said on this, that the office of the chief of staff only became so powerful during the tenure of President Buhari. Abba Kyari became a lord unto himself, and now we've seen a second. You know how many instances, court cases, scenarios where the chief of staff is said to have intervened. The person that is the chief of staff is chief of staff of the president, not chief of staff of the country. The person that runs government on behalf of the government is the Secretary General of the Federation, the SGF. Not the chief of staff. But the chief of staff is more powerful than the SGF. Look, in the line of the country's hierarchy, the chief of staff is not in that hierarchy. The hierarchy is the president, the vice president, the senate president, the deputy senate president, the national assembly, and then you go to the SGF. The chief of staff is not in that hierarchy. So, but I personally do not have anything against the Femi Gbajamiala. He's even risen to the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, so he's well known in the country. But this is a scandal too many for the country to bear. The reputation of our country has slid. Don't forget that we fought very hard to remove ourselves from the clout. Our Nigerian passport before used to be an anathema. A lot of work was done to take us from that stand where you would travel with the Nigerian passport and you'd be kept at an airport for more than 2 hours because Nigerian passport became an anathema. We had to do a lot of work. I am aware of the amount of work that was done in the bills that had to be pushed in the National Assembly for us to get off several watch lists. The Financial Action Task Force, FATF, the Edmond Server, we had to create, that was why they had to create a separate bureau to investigate financial flows in the country. So it's not been easy to get us off such corruption watch lists. But this now begins to put us back on those watch lists. You now begin to say because you have a green passport. Let me tell you something. You know that if you even are applying for it, my brother will confirm to you, you're applying for a job, even in the UK. The fact that you put that you have any experience in Nigeria begins to preclude you from getting those jobs. Are you aware of that? Look, the action some of us take in speaking out, it's not because we do not like the country. We love our country. We love the fact that we want to be able to hold our heads high. There are people who are doing very well. There are people who excel at what they are doing. But these acts, if they are not firmly uprooted from our system, if there's not a holistic investigation, holistic approach to show that government is sincere to out this sort of practices from our system, then the international community, we are talking about creating a false agency. We still have an 8 trillion expenditure that cannot be explained, raised by the IMF. We are just talking about one agency. We are talking about 15 trillion that was not budgeted for, that did not pass through due process. 15 trillion did not pass through due process. We have 8 trillion that is missing. We have the NMPC unremitted 200 trillion. My brother and sister in the studio,
Okay.
Nigeria has a very big problem. I don't know how we're going to solve this problem.
We still have a lot to unpack, Anthony, but let's go on a quick break, and when we return, I'll pose my next question to Tor. Do stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Thank you so much for staying with us here. The conversation is still looking very, very dicey. Just in case you missed out, yesterday, the police arrested the embattled DG of the PFIPC. But we've been talking about this for a while. Let's, I mean, that's a video that you see on the screen there. But let's bring in our guest on our final question. We still have Towo, who joins us all the way from the UK. I'm also told that Anthony has to take a leave very quickly. So let's see how we can make it happen. Let's see if we can make it happen in 10 seconds. Very quickly. Very quickly. Towo, I'm told you have to leave, by the way. Anthony is still with us, so let's make it happen very quickly. Binga, you want to go first? Or should I go ahead? Yeah, okay, so let me go first. Let me ask Towo, as we speak now, what is the way forward if Nigerians need to know the end of this case, this story? What's the way forward? How is Nigeria's legal system supposed to aid in helping Nigerians know the finality of this case?
The legal system is, first of all, we should identify that an offense has been committed. Yes, the embattled chairman, Adeni, has committed an offense as he has alleged offense, as he has openly admitted that he bribed a public officer, a public office holder to acquire that position. Yes, he has committed an offense. Then two, by virtue of the office of the president, he has power to direct agency that are empowered to investigate an alleged offense to investigate such an issue. So having directed the ICPC to investigate the issue, what I expected that the ICPC or the police would have answered the file or the information they have regarding this particular issue based on the presidential directive to the ICPC for them to investigate. Then morally speaking, because we look at the issue of law and moral. Morally speaking, the person of the secretary, the person of the chief of staff to the government of the federation, having been figured out to have committed such an offense, because without morals, there won't be an accountability in the public office or in the public sector, would have resigned. And other officers that have, including the person who signed the letter requesting for office to be allocated to him, all those people would have resigned. Then for the ICPC to look at it holistically. But this is not what is going on now. So if the police are prosecuting him for something that ICPC is investigating, then you discover that the issue of double jeopardy will come out, because with the way things are going, let's assume he pleaded guilty to the offense, is convicted. What is the ICP investigating? Who are they investigating again? Is it him that is already in court for an offense relating to the directive of the president? Or are they investigating the secretary to the government of the federation that they will pass through his office to see the president? So these are certain issues that are very conflicting. So legally, what they ought to have done is an holistic investigation of an alleged offense and administrative review of how processes are followed in Nigeria when it comes to the establishment or when it comes to recognition of persons that have been entrusted with public office holding. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. We're going to keep following with this story. It's a developing story, of course. The matter is in the court, and let's see how this eventually turns out. But we thank you for joining us this morning, and we wish you a very wonderful rest of the morning in the UK. Okay. I know that Towo had to leave. I don't know if we still have our other guest.
Yeah, we still have Anthony. Anthony. Yeah. Maybe Anthony's.
I actually wanted to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, yes, Towo has addressed core issues, but I'm going to identify a few culprits that I think need to be, not culprits, just a few actors that need to be more proactive. I'm very grateful to News Central for bringing up this topic. This is a topic of outreach. And the Nigerian population needs to be visibly outraged by what is going on now. I don't think it's enough. I don't think there's enough outreach by the Nigerian public. There is obviously much more to this. There is a silent issue that I would like, more important, the Nigerian police force to look at, which is the death of the middleman, the suspicious death of the middleman involved in this. There needs to be a thorough investigation into how this individual mysteriously died in the said Kachi Hotel in Utako. That is another issue that we seem to have just glossed over.
The hotel has been demolished as we speak, yes. So it further complicates the issue.
So we have someone dying, and the evidence that should have come into question, which is the hotel itself, which should have been investigated, have been demolished. So there's more to this than meets the eye. So it's not just saying, you know, when you see a problem, I want to take a holistic approach to such issues. What is the media doing to keep it alive? News Central is bringing this as a topical issue on the morning show. Very good. What have Nigerians done about it? There should be a call that nobody's supposed to sit down and say, no, we cannot allow this to go. Mr. President, that statement you made that the chief of staff, you covered the chief of staff, that's a wrong statement. In this sort of instance, Mr. President should take the stand of the country and say, you know what, whoever is involved in this, I want a holistic investigation. I want to also reappraise all parastatals, everything that is budgeted for, because we have so many scandals coming out of the Nigerian budgets today. And it leaves to wonder what exactly those who are in the National Assembly are doing. Like my brother who just left said, the function of the National Assembly is to pass budgets and oversight the implementation of such budgets. So have they done their jobs? These are the sort of accountability Nigerians need to demand for. Because if today you do not have roads, it is because the money that was meant for the road was being misappropriated, or some fake ministry who doesn't need this money is getting such monies. We do not have proper hospital, or our hospitals are not equipped. The money for such has been misappropriated, has gone somewhere else. So there are consequences. And these consequences do not even bear on the government officials. These consequences bear directly on the Nigerian, the average Nigerian. And not to think that it's just those that are in Nigeria. Those of us here are also suffering from this. Like I mentioned to you, I know several people who are applying for jobs today that have hidden the fact, anything that is related to them being Nigerian, they've removed it from their CVs. Because once anybody sees Nigeria, no, we don't want this, there must be an issue somewhere. And we need to cure this. And it's not going to be a one-day effect. It needs to be something that's done strategically over time to bring back reputational damage. It's not something you deal with in a day. So for me, there's a lot more. So this is a problem that presents itself as just one ministry, but it goes further and deeper. And the consequences are broader. Because I have not seen any national, international press that has not given this a bad publicity. And the publicity is not good for Nigeria as a whole.
Absolutely. You know, Anthony, you mentioned something quite instructive, and most people tend to overlook these things, that they're not harmless crimes. They do have consequences, and they do also lots of reputational damage. Having said that, there's a lot of trust deficit between the government and the people. I mean, people are already casting aspersions and doubt as to whether the entire process will be transparent. And even when we're celebrating good news, like the return of the Orire kidnap victims, there's still questions to be asked. That shows you the level of trust. Now, what do you say to Nigerians that have lost faith in the entire process and, you know, that just feel it's a hopeless situation? That what's the point of even talking about this? Why is it important for them not to lose faith and also keep this issue on the front burner and to seek a logical and transparent conclusion to this?
The country doesn't belong to the minority. The country has always belonged to the majority. Unfortunately, because of the power the minority wield, the minority have seen themselves as inferior to the majority. The majority have seen themselves inferior to the minority. The people who are in power, who hold positions of power, be it as the executive, the National Assembly, and the judiciary, the three arms of government, right, are less than 0.1% of the population. And in every instance, they answer to the majority, whether they are elected, appointed, or sometimes inherit power. These powers are derived from the authority of the majority. And the majority owe a responsibility to themselves to continue to ask these questions, to continue to push, to continue to speak up, to continue to, in civil ways, protest if need be. We've seen governments in the world brought down by civil action. And if necessary, Nigerians must consider that as an option. If you do not have any other means, if it seems that, as we are seeing today, our judiciary, people's children are being appointed as judges, these are issues that are live. But we have to keep speaking up about it. We cannot muzzle ourselves. We have to speak up. We need an independent judiciary. We need a National Assembly that is doing its job. Look at the constitution of our Senate today. Governors who have failed in their states have now begun to promote themselves to go to the National Assembly, bearing in mind particularly Kogi State. A governor who is under EFCC prosecution, yes, alleged. We have not seen he's vying to become a senator, to go and prescribe what laws, if not to self-protect themselves. So we need a situation where Nigerians are self-aware of the powers that they have. The Nigerian population, the Nigerian citizen, is the most powerful of all the arms of government, of all that is government. It's the Nigerian population. They are the most powerful. But until they realize their powers, which they can execute or they can enforce rightly in an election by registering to vote and voting. But it now seems that even when they try to carry out this function, it is being mitigated by acts of corruption where the judiciary decides which parties can go to the election, which candidates can emerge. That's been or even INEC in conducting elections begins to thwart the will of the people. So these are things that if we've decided that the mode of governance that we want is democracy, we must then come out to protect that democracy. Where we see that things are being done that are inimical to our democracy, there's a budgeting process. For instance, I don't understand how Nigerians have kept quiet while 3 consecutive budgets are running concurrently. We need to ask these questions. Why is it that in our budget line items, we have items that are not due for ministries? Why on earth is the Almanjeri budget? Why does it have construction of schools in Ogun, construction of roads in Ogun and Ondo State? These are things that you don't have Almanjeri in the South. These are things that are meant to be domiciled in the North. So when you have these anathemas and anomalies, you need to ask questions, and we don't let go of these questions. The problem with Nigerians, and I think the government knows this, is our short attention lifespan. The fact that one matter comes up and before you know it, everybody has forgotten about it. We need to be consistent. We need to keep asking questions. And it is not wrong to hold government accountable. It is not a sin. It is not something, it becomes, you find out that people make it tribal. It's our brother, we cannot ask questions because it's our brother. No, if it's your brother asking questions, because when the thing falls, it falls on everybody.
Okay. I want to say thank you so much, Anthony Elebo, for joining us. We'll continue to follow up. Let's wait and see what press release we put out there by the security agencies. An update as well. And Nigerians are watching. For us here at News Central, we're also watching. A lot has been
how many
said.
more arrests will be done?
A lot has been said.
Obviously, this man is not alone.
It's not. Who are the other people?
But arrests have been made in the past. His father was arrested in lieu of him, and
And that friend.
That's not the kind of arrest.
A gentleman of particular concern that went to the house to
just
maybe.
How did you know he went to eat, Benga?
Honestly, because whatever happens, regardless of how this matter leans, he did not do it alone. For him to get a line item in the budget, there were certain people who were, nonchalant or who were collaborative or cooperative in this venture, and all of them have questions to answer as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us. Very interesting conversation. Whether you like it or not, it's still clear that anybody who carries out such actions, I mean, what I expected was one. Let me just mention what I expected in saner climes, even though our guests have said it. I expected that since he's a person of particular concern, the federal government ought to have sent security agencies to protect him because he's an asset to the presidency to uncover and unravel what the president may not know. It will also help the president to tick off those who want him to fail or sabotaging him.
And give his government
exactly. So first things first, the president would say, or the presidency or members of the cabinet would say, protect that man first. Tell him he's secured. We need to get to the end of this. But shockingly, the man was sitting on the floor.
And sad reality check. Well, this is Nigeria and things happen differently.
Very differently.
Yeah. Okay, it's still Breakfast Central. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we will be bringing you the breakfast headlines. And afterwards, you can call in and share your thoughts with us on any of the top stories we've looked at today during our newspaper headlines review. Do stay with us. Breakfast Central will continue shortly. Hello and welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aboroa. We begin with legislative matters. The senators urge the federal government to sustain and escalate intensive military and intelligence operations against bandit kidnappers and terrorists across the country. The lawmakers, at the resumption of plenary, adopted a motion of commendation sponsored by Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele, hailing the president, the armed forces and the joint security networks for the successful rescue of the abducted school children and teachers in Orire local government area of Oyo State. While celebrating the rescue, the upper chamber paid solemn tribute to the 3 security personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty, demanding the immediate release of all pending death benefits to their families. Now, away from that, the House of Representatives has rescinded its decision on the State Police Bill passed on June the 11th, following a fresh constitutional amendment proposal submitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The proposed legislation, which seeks to amend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to create a constitutional framework for the establishment of state police services, was transmitted to the House through a letter dated June the 15th this year. According to the President, the bill builds on the significant work already done by the House and incorporates additional safeguards to ensure that the creation of a dual police structure capable of addressing the nation's evolving security challenges.
I rise to move that a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to provide for the establishment of state police services and for related matters, HB 2797, be read a second time. I so move.
Go for second reading, say aye. Those against say nay. There is have it. Clerk.
Let's also tell you that the National Pension Commission has announced the plans to launch the Minimum Pension Guarantee and Pencare Health Initiative within the next 3 months. The Director General of the Commission, Omolola Oloworora, made this known in Abuja while speaking to State House correspondents, describing the reforms as part of efforts to improve retirement security, expand pension coverage, and channel pension assets into national development. Oloworora says that the government's 758 billion intervention cleared long-standing pensions obligations dating back to 2007, enabling eligible retirees to receive their benefits within 48 hours instead of waiting months.
The 758 billion naira federal government intervention is one of the most consequential pension interventions in our nation's history. It settled obligations dating back to 2007. It reached over 957,000 Nigerians, and it achieved something no balance sheet can capture: trust. It restored the belief that government keeps its word. Because of that intervention, accrued rights have moved from 21 months in arrears. For context, it means when civil servants retire, Treasury-funded MDAs, they were waiting for 21 months to get paid. Today, that has changed. We have moved from 21 months of arrears to 41 months of surplus. Meaning, you retire today and you've done your enrollment and all your documentations are okay, you get paid within 48 hours.
Now to politics. The Independent National Electoral Commission has said it will recognize only the candidates submitted by the David Mark leadership of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, confirming that the faction has already nominated candidates for 471 elected positions ahead of the 2027 general elections. INEC National Commissioner Mohammed Aruna said that the commission granted the Mark-led faction access to its nominal portal following the Supreme Court judgment affirming its leadership, adding that the rival faction had no legal basis to submit candidates. The ADC, however, called for the investigation and prosecution of its factional leader, Nafiu Bala Gombe, following INEC's declaration that claims that Gombe uploaded the party's candidates for the 2027 general elections through the Commission's nomination portal were false. And to the latest on the Middle East tensions, United States President Donald J. Trump has threatened to expand U.S. strikes on Iran next week to target power plants and bridges if Tehran does not agree to a deal amidst a continued dispute over the Straits of Hormuz. Trump's comments came as U.S. forces carried out strikes against Iran for a fourth day in a row and reimposed a naval blockade of the country's ports in the Straits of Hormuz. United States Central Command, CENTCOM, said the latest strikes were aimed at degrading Iranian capabilities used to attack commercial shipping in the Strait, the key shipping channel for Gulf oil and gas, where Tehran has repeatedly carried out attacks on civilian vessels. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. Breakfast Central continues shortly with the front page of the newspapers. I am Benga Borowa. Thanks for watching.
It's time for the newspapers to see what the front pages are saying. Joining us this morning is public affairs analyst, our taxman, our in-house
chartered accountant,
a chartered accountant,
and an avid golfer.
Okay. You should have done the intro now.
Yes.
Oh yeah, do the intro.
I didn't know the adjustments.
We have Olusegun Okunade with us here in the studio. It's great to have you.
Yeah, good morning.
Mr. Okunade, you're not looking like what we are going through in Lagos. As amphibians of Lagos.
Yeah, part of the issue there is Benga suddenly make sure that we don't have access to our golf course.
Okay.
The last few days has been very
you can't
flooding now.
Imagine you on a 9. The one of the clubs you use is a 9 iron, right? Yeah. And then it's raining. Olive, it's like you've not heard that Lagbaja song.
It's not
when
even,
he said thunder.
It's not even the lightning now. You discover that most of the golf courses are flooded. We had a show of Ikoyi over flooded.
Wow.
Ikeja, we've not have access to it for like some days. So every golfer these days just like, what is happening?
I need to propose digital golfing.
That one is golf. Me, I'm talking about the impact I, as a person, am experiencing with this flood. Yes, everywhere I go, I'm going to keep crying it.
These are rich men impacts.
We can play golf. That's even
meanwhile, some people's golf 3 is stuck inside flood.
One of my vehicle 2 weeks ago, I drove into the water. As I'm talking to you, the cars actually give way.
Oh,
I'm serious.
So sorry.
I moved inside the water and I think I stopped at the middle of it, under this Olokbo Meji going to Island.
You shouldn't have stopped.
So but you can't move the car. There's a car in front of you. That happened to me yesterday. That happened to me. You can't swerve. You can't swerve, Benga.
This was not even my driver.
Benga is enjoying the luxury of not being defeated by this flood.
In front of me that stopped.
And socially,
I just matched my brake and the water was actually heavy. So it just flew in through my exhaust into the engine, and before you know it, the engine was just
expenses.
Down. No, I can't even talk about what they're talking for the engine. You can imagine.
So the engine has gone.
It's gone. The water mixed with the oil and everything. It's to tell you the great impact.
I should not even complain. At least my own engine is still working.
But the truth of it is, most people these days now prefer, if I hear the thunder, now say one for shh. Now Uber they look for.
And the Uber guys are here too. They are facing it now.
Because everything and the parts are not. When they gave me the price of the engine, I'm like,
is it not better to buy a new car?
No, really.
To even get the new car, is it that affordable?
It's not easy again.
It's not easy.
They say government has reduced.
No, it's not applying.
They took with one left hand and
use both the other hand and 2 legs to pack the other one.
I discuss this. I don't want to blame the government alone.
Yeah.
Even our people, we must talk to ourselves.
Absolutely.
People dropping things indiscriminately.
We have a video. We're going to show to you now.
Emptying dustbin inside.
Yeah, we have a video.
We should deal with some of this because
is it excuse enough that PSP has not come? Because that's some of the excuse they will give, that PSP has not come in weeks.
Yeah, they're not doing regular.
Let's not put those things on the road. You can't just.
There's no justifiable.
I'm not in support of that at all. I'm never in support. I will never be in support of random.
I enter my house, I cry, say, man, she's waiting Lagos for.
And you know the funny thing? I've shared the story here. How one time I was parked at a very popular supermarket in Lekki, and this very fancy SUV, beautiful SUV with tinted glass, they were eating or whatever. I just saw that somebody wound down, threw out a bottle and wound up, and I was parked beside them. So I came down, I picked the bottle, I tapped on their window, showed them the bottle, shook my head, and I went to go and dump it in the dustbin for them. Since they did not have the common sense to know that this is trash. In my car, if I'm eating anything,
leave it inside the car. That's what I do. Leave it there.
Definitely.
When I get
home, I can put it in the dustbin. That's how it should be done. I think, like I mentioned to the commissioner when he came here, I told him I heard the advert. He said it's been running. I don't think so. But we need a proper sensitization program, and not just on radio and TV. Also go to schools, from primary schools to secondary schools. It should be added. That's the best way. In China,
the children
remember
the
Japan football team, the national team, they did it again at this World Cup. They always do it. Japanese. It's their curriculum. It's there. They have the training. They teach you everything from start to finish. Anyway, let's move on to our very first paper. Let's start with the Al Jazeera newspaper this morning and see what we have. Because if we start this death conversation, we will not leave here. Insecurity. Tinubu transmits state police bill. That's what we get on that newspaper. He's transmitted it. Don't forget, too, that we hear that it was equally stepped down by the House of Representatives. We'll find out why in a bit, but of course...
the 6th speedy passage by reps as lower chamber passes revised proposal for second reading.
So we're hearing that there's another problem with this now. And we need, you see, politicians, you can make life a lot easier and better for Nigerians like it was in the past. Mr. Shison, I'd like your thoughts on this. What do I mean? Every time we hear that there's a different variation that is in circulation. And some members of the Senate would agree that, yes, so they've not really seen this one. I mean, you ask Senator Mwaboy or something, and you would hear statements that, oh, no, the committee is looking at it. Or another senator will say, oh, yes, they are looking. Can we just... Anyway, 6th speedy passage by reps, like Oliver said, as lower chamber passes revised proposal for second reading.
Yeah, you see, the challenge I have with politicians is when some of these reforms, some of these bills, and some of those things come up, are they in the best interest of the citizen? Otherwise, if they are, why do we always have conflicting, bills, conflicting laws out there assented to by Mr. President? One thing is very sure. Mr. President will not read the whole law or the whole bill. That we can say emphatically. So much on it. People are actually assigned. And my concern always is that when we have variations like this, do we punish the people that are meant to actually protect those laws? Because it's confusing even to the people that will implement it. It's confusing to the people that actually want to carry out some of the things that are out there. And the people that perpetrated this are just having their fun, thinking that they are doing the right thing. Don't forget that while the new tax law was assented to by Mr. President, we heard that the National Assembly were coming out with different version, the committee, different version, until we got the harmonized. Because even the chairman was saying, okay, give us the one you feel that is right, if it's not in line with this. And I feel that some people are just out there to create that confusion, either whether they don't like the new bills that are actually coming out. And I feel we should work in unison, where we can speak with one voice on a particular thing that impact. This is what this insecurity is impacting negatively on our economy. And here we're talking about, a lot of us have advocated for state policing. And here we are, the bill, because where there are no laws, definitely there can be peace. So you need law to guide you on things to do. Now the bills are actually being transmitted, and we started having revised version. This one is not the correct. What becomes the end of it? We should just please be intentional about some of the things that we do, knowing fully well that when the right things are not done right from the beginning, it impacts on the citizen. It does not give the right thing that is expected of them.
All right, let's... I like this story still on the front page of Al Jazeera. Benga and Joe particularly like
What's that? Which one?
Federal government trains 40 youths to safeguard Lagos, Calabar,
Yes, why are you laughing at the professor of practice?
Hey.
So my question is, what does this training look like? Is it taekwondo, karate? Are they armed with wood?
Give me a
the details for us, Abi?
No, I need to do some calculations.
Okay.
40 youths is 700 kilometers. That's the length of the Lagos.
They're going to station them, right?
Divided by 40 youths, that means Joe and friends.
No, don't call me. Don't call me.
17.5 kilometers
coverage.
Joe, your area.
Of course.
LA, cover 17.5 kilometers all the way to Calabar. But I mean, it's there's been issues of vandalism. There's been issues of people breaking traffic. If it's to instill discipline and sanity on that axis.
Let me read it. Let me read it for you, gentlemen. Are you ready?
It's the practicality.
Are you ready for this important information? It says that the youths trained by the Nigerian police force in Lagos on Tuesday will work in shifts with 20 on daytime patrol and 20 on night duty. Speaking at the training, the Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Olufemi Dari, said the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, directed the initiative to protect the highway from rising cases of vandalism and misuse. Mr. Dari said the guards will support police operations by monitoring the corridor and reporting offenders, adding that they were not police officers and would only hand suspects over to the police for prosecution. According to him, the government has recorded persistent theft of critical infrastructure, including clear-view steel fences, manhole covers, and directional signs installed along the highway.
Stealing signs?
That's the thing.
No, they do that.
What do you use it for?
People selling
Iron condemn.
Iron condemn.
Didn't they steal Nigerian police signboard?
Even the traffic, the traffic station.
So those guys selling those
iron
things, they don't know any. Their own is that the irons are actually there. You see, my worries with this is that we can do much more than this. Where do we have those
How about technology?
Technology. We should have drones that will monitor those things.
Even
cameras.
cameras.
Get them apprehended. Because I'm asking myself, people that are perpetrating these ills, they are more sophisticated than the people that will be trained. They are not going to carry guns. They are to, apprehend them and hand them over to police, of which you and I know that even police struggle to attack some of those people, even with their own arms.
Yeah, and then sometimes the police holding cell, they are overwhelmed because you have to take care of the feeding. How many people can you arrest?
So I
and how many of them would really allow them face the full weight of the law as opposed to sorting yourself to bail yourself?
Because humanly, you discover that maybe those on night shift, if that's when they perpetrate that ill,
the best solution.
I know some of those things, but I feel we can.
Because that's what I say. When you go to other countries, developing countries, when there's little poverty in the country, then there won't be a need for people to be stealing manhole covers. I've heard of people stealing side mirror in UK or in other places. Who are you going to sell it to? So we need to make sure we deal with this issue of extreme poverty to reduce crime.
Because when
there's a correlation.
When people pick up, they have people to sell.
How about,
that's why it's promoted.
sometimes, I do understand that it's federal government, and I understand that they would have some form of consultation. Maybe they have like a round table to discuss. But how about just having, there are a few things that road is lacking. One, there's insecurity on that road. You need to beg with your last breath if your car should stop on that road midnight. You are done for. So how about having even Third Milan? How about ensuring that even 7-Up this morning? Area boys are there asking for money for the car breaking down, and Lagos State has not handled that critical issue. So how about having police stops? And I always wonder,
But that would bring back the checkpoints were having.
No, not checkpoints, and not as checkpoints, but they are like very little movable porter cabins where you can have policemen there. They reside there at every certain kilometer.
Yeah.
Now, what you do is you can also, I've thought about this many times. As a private citizen or as a citizen, and then I'm able to do business and you can engage in partnerships. Why can't you partner with a company that will provide these police officers with food and water on a daily basis? It's doable. There are many eateries who will be willing to partner with the government to say, okay, no problem. Yes, so every day deliveries go there, give this police. Once police officer knows that there's food for him, there's water whenever he's on shift, X kilometer, they have that one there, they're able to protect anything and they're able to work.
All right, let's quickly take this call. We have a call coming in from Lagos, I believe. Benue State. Good morning, Anso. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning, everybody in the studio there. This is Mr. Matthew calling from Benue State.
All right, thank you very much.
There is what is called post-traumatic stress disorder. People who passes through abusive conditions, such as the primary school pupils in Oyo and the teachers, normally suffers that condition. So one of the ways of managing that condition is by looking into the issues raised by people who are suffering from that condition. What I'm trying to say is that giving that woman a car is one of the ways of resolving or managing post-traumatic stress condition. Because by the time you begin to address the issues being raised by such people, their mind will suddenly start shifting from thinking of what they have gone through to now thinking of what they might be enjoying at the moment. And gradually, the post-traumatic stress disorder disappears from them. So, to me, I accepted with Ola when she was citing the issue of the car gift. Another issue I want to comment on is the issue of illegal mining. Illegal mining in Nigeria can be called illegal, but in some way can still be said to be legal, because anywhere in Nigeria, in any state in Nigeria where illegal mining is happening, you cannot tell me that the governor of that state is not aware of what is happening. Benue State is one of the states that is suffering from illegal mining. And I want to tell you people that illegal mining in Nigeria is one of the main reasons why insecurity is on the persistence in Nigeria. Come to Benue State, quite a local government, is suffering from this illegal mining and is also suffering from high level of insecurity. There are some indigents of Kwande local government that have not visited their ancestral home for more than 15 years. And in that their ancestral home, Fulani herdsmen are killing farmers on a daily basis, while miners are carrying out their activities peacefully without anybody harassing them. So, if you come to Benue State and tell me that my governor is not aware of what is happening in Kwande local government, I will tell you you are a liar. The chairman of Kwande local government is also fully aware of the illegal mining, but nobody is talking about it. Yesterday, someone says on television that asking questions in Nigeria is now viewed as enemy action. So people are not asking questions. When you want to ask questions, somebody will tell you that everybody is keeping quiet. Why are you asking questions? So the moment you ask questions, people will start looking at you as an enemy of progress. Meanwhile, your questions will be concentrated on ensuring that the right thing is done. The Constitution is obeyed. The people are not maltreated.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your point. I mean, very key. There's a story I know would interest all of us, just like Olive brought about to 40. I'm trying to picture that.
What do you call them? Coastal Road Marshals?
Guards.
Yeah.
Coastal Road Guards.
Coastal Road Guards.
Okay. That's the name we give them, or is not? They've not given on. There's no press release about Coastal Road Guards. There's a story there. Business confidence slips amid rising operational costs. CBN survey.
I thought things were getting better. I thought the quality of life
you know,
much better.
Today you hear the story that things are looking better the other way. I'm sure you know, severally have said this, that the operational cost of an average organization, the management team are actually not smiling. Day by day, they look for the best way to see how to actually trim some of those expenses. And it gets back to the staff. It is then the staff will be telling you that I want to do this, I can't do this, this is all that. Because those things are really not available. It's difficult for you as management to increase your costs. Yesterday, I was discussing on a particular forum where they said they are increasing the NECO and WAEC fee because of operational costs. I said, okay, government themselves are acknowledging the fact that operational costs keep increasing. But what are we doing to salvage the whole issue? Power cost is actually there. Like we're saying, a lot of organizations are faced with flooding, and now they have to spend so much in salvaging those issues out. And we come out and people are paying taxes, they are making their obligation known to the government, but the basic infrastructure that will make businesses to survive is actually not there. When you talk about ease of doing business, it's not only in terms of documentation, it's in terms of, go and look at average of our roads as we speak. For people that are in the business of logistics, it becomes, you are saying it the other time.
I think it's a crime for some of these states to even to ask for roadworthiness certificate, because some of the roads are not even worthy,
they are not worthy of
our cars.
Yeah, they are not worthy of the vehicles.
They spoil the cars.
So the fact remains that if the survey has actually shown this, my own question is, what is the way out? Are you going to assist to kind of alleviate the problem? Because if the businesses are not growing, definitely unemployment will continue to grow.
So, I mean, according to inside information and surveys, they say that the energy component of businesses is what takes a huge chunk of the operational cost. So power is very, very important, and electricity. As the situation improves since Mr. Adelabu left the helms of affairs, I will tell you from a personal perspective, in my own household,
there's light.
Yes, light.
In my own household, it has gotten worse, so please.
Okay, maybe from my perspective,
maybe you should move to Ibadan and be closer to Mr. Adelabu.
To be fair, the man who took over
since he was better under him.
Promising that things would be 100%.
No, but I have
What's
to
your
say
experience?
That, in recent time, the electricity has been stable.
They don't even take lights when it's raining.
Raining
anymore.
again,
I'm
yeah,
surprised.
I want to say that. I was shocked too because it's a norm. Before now, once you hear the you just hear the light. But these days, we tend to be having the supply even when it's raining. But a lot of us, what the survey that CBN is coming out with to talk about power, a lot of us have said it before now. The disparity between Band A and Band B is huge. That every organization, SMEs that are in that particular area are actually struggling to survive with those things that are actually there. But we have said it before now that we have the parameters at which we build customers. Before this Band A, Band B, Band C actually came up. You come up with commercial customers, come out with residential customers, heavy users.
Industrial,
So you put them in their class. You can't compare a commercial person and a residential person to be paying the same rate.
Absolutely.
And expect that because of the usage, that will create the difference.
They really didn't.
Is it hard to think?
Those days we used to have a tariff that we call A1. Those are a class of people that are below the belt. That possibly what they have in the house is just one bulb and maybe one transistor radio that they're actually using. The same
especially those in Face Me, I Face You.
Yeah, the same set of people are actually paying 225 that somebody who is managing a duplex. You see, and you now say, no, it's based on your utilization. No, you should put them in their class. And that's why a lot of us have advocated that the same way we are reverting practically everything, let's revert to the old way of billing the customer so that it can be your class. You can't compare a residential person and a commercial person and a factory and say we should pay the same way.
I like to correct Joe with what they said because it's not politically correct. The word face me, I face you. The modern use is reflective terrace accommodation. You look at me and I look at you. Not face me, face you.
Oh my goodness.
Let's move to the next paper now.
Please, Nigerian Tribune.
Put Nigerian Tribune on.
Oh no, I'm tired of you.
I'm done.
At this point, we're going to send you to go and do night of the...
I think no, you should join the 40. Coastal Guard.
41.
41.
Commissioner, leave
your own. They should move you to that near that border. You should just...
My 16.5 kilometers.
Yeah, you'll be reporting from Breakfast Central there. Coastal Guard reporter. Okay. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, go after other bandits and terrorists nationwide. Senate tells federal government. Cautions Makinde to stop trivializing government's efforts. Oyo Assembly backs governor on call for UN probe. Orire hospital discharges 25 out of 39 on admission. Let's start with that story. Your thoughts on Governor Seyi Makinde calling for the UN to investigate?
And the pushback from the Senate.
Yeah, well, for me, I feel we can manage situation within ourselves and see the best that we can. First and foremost, there has been a collaboration between the state government and the federal government, and that's why we're able to get the Orire abductors back to base without, except for those that were killed out there. So inviting UN for probe is, I would say, is an extending long thing. What actually are the lessons that we can learn from here? And a lot of us have said that we need to be proactive. And I listened to the governor when he was actually talking. These terrorists, and I'm sure we'll bear the witness, when they started in Kwara State, it was just one after the other. They succeed with one, get some people back, and it will eat again. How proactive are we to guard our schools in order to make sure that this does not happen again? We don't want a situation where it is when it has happened, we start talking about security people running after them and we brought them back. I will continue to say this, that for every of these children that were actually taken by the abductors, the terrorists, they have a stigma that will live with them for the rest of their life because they were out there in the rain, in the sun, and you know, they are very young, looking at it as if, is this the way life should be? So I would feel that government should work together in such a way that we don't allow it to happen. Be proactive to nip it at the bud. Not when it happens, we start, shedding prayers, start allowing people to say, what do we do? on this particular thing. We should nip it and make sure that the future leaders of tomorrow are protected, which is the primary responsibility of the government in terms of security and welfare of their well-being. I don't feel that calling on UN to come and intervene is the way to go. But how can we collaborate with one another and see how we protect the citizen that we claim that we are leading, to avert repetition of what has actually happened? Because it's one thing per day. I don't think this made the headline, but I learned in Intensify local government. It's still the same Oyo State. A principal,
he's been released.
He's been released.
He's been released.
First instance,
God is released, yeah.
Why
was he
do we allow that to even happen? People are not saying, people are just afraid to travel, even by road now. And you cannot even consider, somebody was telling me, now to fly to Abuja, I'm sure you know what it takes to travel by air. And these are places that people travel. I travel practically from Lagos to the east to the west by road. But trying to do that now is like you're on a suicide mission of things that you actually not planned for. So we want a situation where our government will be intentional about being proactive in protecting the students, because those that were actually taken away, they have their stigma. Some students that were in that school will always have that fear. When they hear a rousing session, they'll feel like, are you sure they've not come to, kidnap or adopt us again? Those stigma, it's just like when you go to a house where an armed robber has attacked them. When they hear a shaking at the gates, everybody starts running up and down. What you will live with it.
What do you make of this? I don't know if our director can, the producer can help us put out the picture where the teacher was given a new car, and we saw politicians go in there to. Look at this picture. That's Honorable Sharafadeen.
Senator,
I beg your pardon. Yeah. Senator Sharafadeen, giving her a new car, Toyota, and she was also told to hold the key and the paper up for photo ops.
We like social media pronouncement to make people, to validate it before tomorrow somebody will say
that they did not give. Okay, you know what? Let's pause on that. We have a call from Australia. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling.
All the way from.
Go ahead. How is Australia this
down under?
Good morning. Thank you very much for taking my call. First, I want to appreciate you guys, Olivia, Wenger, Hanson. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much for your brilliant analysis. Okay, I just wanted to touch on two things. First is the rescued victims. Well, in as much as it's quite pathetic to know that people are still being kidnapped these days, in the first instance, I want to thank the federal government for rescuing these victims in the first instance. But I just have a little concern. What I have heard is the way they are reuniting the victims with their parents, the children with their parents, seems a little bit unclear to me. They just profile the kids and then the parents come and then they say, oh, okay, this is my child, and then the kids are then given to them. I don't think that makes any sense. Does that mean they do not have a detailed list or detailed record or, solid proof of ownership of these kids? So that means these kids are even at risk of being handed over to people who are not even their biological parents. I don't know what's happening, but I don't know what's happening there. So it would be good if they could actually. Maybe I'm getting it wrong, but if that is the case, then I think that is just very, very bad and terrible, because that could lead to a couple of other things which we don't even know, because we don't know who we're handing these kids over to, and then before you know it, all that story continues. They should have solid means of identifying who belongs to who, including whether DNA testing or proper record keeping, other details by which they can verify and know that this kid belongs to this person. Okay, that's one. Then I want to talk about the other gentleman who I heard the police has arrested. So my question is, why did the police arrest him? I don't know. Like, was he absent in court? Like, as this matter is in court, has he declined attendance in court? Or what exactly is the rationale? I'm not sure. maybe you guys can put more light. That will make more sense. And then I saw the way he was treated. You know, he was asked to sit on the floor. He was being asked questions and all that. Now, these things alone seems to be intimidating. And coupled with the type of things the Nigerian government has been doing recently on, you know, dissenting voices, this could be seen as a way to shut this man up and as much as possible bury any possible evidence or any other possible truth that this man might have which might implicate whoever it is that is, you know, whose hand is involved, you know, in this menace.
All right,
So
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Stanley, for sharing your thoughts. Maybe we should start with the last one regarding Prince Adeni. Yes, he did miss his court appearance.
That Prince, we have to also
investigate.
We have to fact check it. Whether it's from a real royal family or is, you know.
Well, when you leave that story for the royal fathers.
Yeah, they said he has had no shows in court, right? He was supposed to be in court, I think, on Tuesday as well. But his defense is that there was a threat to his life, is why he did not appear in court.
You know, I listened, sorry to both, I listened to Joe when he was speaking on this topic initially. I think part of the things government should do is to give confidence to people that are being prosecuted like this, that they are actually protected. Because most of the time, there's always this threat to their life, and they feel that if I show up at the court, that might be end of it. Because most of the time, when you kill the people that are concerned in a particular case, that's the end of the case.
The story dies. He also has a right to dignity, because when they invite some of these politically exposed VIPs to answer questions in the FCC, you see their appearance in court. They are still wearing very starched, well-starched iron. They don't make them sit on the floor.
I feel to me too that's actually really not good enough. But on the first observation by Stanley from Australia, we've said so much about having a database. But I know that locally we have a way of attaching ourselves. Parents identify the children. Because even when you go to school, it's difficult for you to have a database of some of the children that are available in that school. But most of the time, the children, the parent, there's always this PTA where the parents identify with the children or the guardian identify. And I believe that Oyo State would have actually, they won't do that in isolation.
And even the child will not follow somebody that is not.
That, you know, because they are still young, it's difficult to, there's that connectivity. It may not even be your mother. It might be a guardian, but because it's used to you, you will definitely, when you come and you are giving him to another, you say, no, it's not my dad, it's not my mom. Because we've seen instances where the real mother will show face, and it is the guardian, the child at that age will be identifying with to say, this is my mommy. They will say, I know this is this person. So we don't have the database as you might have it in structure, but we have our ways of actually, identifying those children.
But just to mention again, according to reports, Prince Adeni Matthew has missed court sitting 4 times, and that his defense counsel had said that it's because there was a threat to his life. It reminds me of what happened with Nnamdi Kanu. Maybe not exactly similar situation, but Nnamdi Kanu could, he had to quote unquote jump
threat to life,
because there was a threat to his life. According to him, he said that his family was attacked and they were killed, so he had to flee for his life to Kenya. But then they said that was not excuse enough. So if that was not, again, that's why we're having a conversation talking about the legality.
By the way, have you heard the story of the plans to include an extra service lane on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway?
Yes, they've started.
And to demolish 20,000 to 50,000
houses, and then they compensate them.
I've been hearing about that. And for those whose houses are not too
Is it not medicine after death? Shouldn't have been part of the initial environmental impact
assessment? Environmental impact assessment.
I think we need to extend a hand of invitation to the Honourable Minister.
Because the EIA it would seem that it was carried out after the project had been commenced, not before. And now we're seeing the impact of all of it.
You know what surprises me? The Honourable Minister went there with some senators and some members of the Assembly, House of Assembly, both in Lagos and others, and they went there and they held sway with the microphone and talking to the press and said, we've checked that the coastal road has no impact on the flooding happening in Lagos.
Yeah, that's what they will say. What do you expect?
Concluded by themselves.
You concluded, and there's no EIA. You concluded as an individual.
We are hearing about
partial EIA.
So an individual is like me saying, okay, in this studio, I can tell that this is a particular frequency of power that is running on these lights. What did I use to test it without even doing any? Why are we?
They will come and tell
are we
had independent review?
Are we progressing or where?
Actually making those reports on.
Right.
Most of the time, we just politicize things, tell people those things that they feel they should hear, and you just give it out to them.
Okay.
If at this point we're talking about 20,000 to 50 houses to go down, and you will compensate them.
The compensation will even be adequate.
You're even going too far. Let me remind you something.
Paying my rent, and then they demolish, God forbid, in the name of Jesus. And they're not,
You're even saying paying your rent.
not even demolish.
People who bought houses there, they're on mortgage. They're mortgage houses on that axis. Some are still paying. Some have paid up to 60%.
Some have even paid.
Some have even paid up to 90%. Just need to demolish. Now there will be court cases now, back and forth. Court cases.
The final story that I'm just going to highlight. We're not going to go into.
Time for?
We'll take this tomorrow. I'm just going to read the headline of that. ADC demands Nafiu Bala's prosecution over alleged forgery of INEC document. And, you know, because Gbenga and Joe have been asking.
They also said they went to upload.
Asking what happened to Nafiu.
Yes, they said they went to upload on the INEC website. So is the INEC website a shawarma
website? Wait. Nafiu Bala, wait. Nafiu Bala went to upload?
Yes.
How did he get the password? How did he get the password?
That's why.
This is a story for tomorrow. So he has a password.
We don't know that.
Who gave it to him?
Okay, let me just quickly. I can't read it.
Quickly.
You know what?
Save it for tomorrow. It's a story for tomorrow.
Just one line. He said there's an information that they confirmed that the document circulated by Nafiu Bala Gombe purporting to show that he had obtained the Commission's access code and uploaded candidates on behalf of the ADC for the 2027 general election was forged, and that the claim itself was entirely false.
What is going INEC, what is going on?
How did he have access to that?
How did he get access?
That means anybody can just go in with password, username, and sign in.
No. So I think he did not have the access. I think he actually lied about having had access.
Yes.
You know what? We'll break all of it down.
Anyway, we have to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.